Yo, what up, stream? It is the headmaster of the GQAzndood Gaming Academy, your boy GQAzndood, and we're back with another episode. I think we're on class session 26 now, so we're 26 episodes in on this thing, and it's only getting stronger, more powerful than ever before. Matter of fact, tonight we have the OC, Oliver Campbell, back here to join us to chat with more video games and more pop culture stuff, so stay tuned for that. We got a lot on the roster tonight, so we got a lot to cover. We're going to do This Week in Gaming History one more time again. Yo, check this out is back, along with a special version of that. The tech with Ace and Oliver doing a team up with the Switch Axe. Also, Nick and Tragically Elite is also here tonight with some more quick bites and also a little bit of the rumor mill as well. So we missed out on a couple of things last time with the rhetorical, so we'll be doing that tonight as well, and looking forward to kind of share that with you. But with that said, let's introduce everybody here in the faculty, here in the sunny yet beautiful Bellingham, Washington. My man on the streets here, my ally in the fight for society, Blazing Ace Nelson. What's up?
Hey, welcome back, class. Glad to see y'all. If you missed us on Sunday, please take a look back once you're done here. Take a look back. That'll be your extra credit. Look back over the last session that we had. Take a look at what we discussed as far as the Switch 2 and a lot of the reaction from the launch, as well as the Treehouse content as well. But that's after we're done here, because we still have quite a bit. We've got an all-you-can-eat buffet prepared and ready to go just for y'all.
Oh man,
saddle up.
I'm hungry. I wanted to go to the buffet last weekend. I didn't get a chance to go, but it's okay. I wanted that buffet sushi, the terrible sushi. So, yeah. Also, yeah. If with that said, I want to also introduce my man here, Nick, the Tragic Elite, my cohort in crime at the local game store here back in 2013. I don't even remember, such a long time ago, but he's the man in the inside, the man with the info, Tragic Elite.
Hey everyone. I don't know, after all of that sushi at the buffet, I'm a little concerned now.
In the middle of the stream, just pop off a little bit.
Yeah, so. Right? Just boop.
Yeah.
I'm glad to be back. Everyone will be super pleased to know that I'll be talking less this episode. We had a lot of news last week and a lot of stuff with the Switch, so I'm going to keep my stuff short tonight so we can hang out with Oliver and the rest of the crew.
Yeah. Well, speaking of Oliver, I'm going to start calling him the OC because the OC sounds like that's kind of. Welcome back to the show, man.
You know what's funny? I've been calling myself that for years. It never caught on. I'm like, I can make that stick. It didn't stick.
Now's my time.
Right. I'm like, someone else realizes it is cool. I
like it.
Like, yeah. No, I'm super, super juiced to be back. I had so much fun last time on here, and I just can't wait. So
awesome.
I'm glad to be back with the fellas, the homies, being proper villains, smart villains. Right, and talking about some game news and some retro history, all that. I love it.
Yeah,
let's do it.
Yeah. A lot has happened, and you've got a lot to cover, so we want to get through it all because we can only slam so much in a couple hours. But let's just get right into it. I got this fun little thing I want to show you, and check this out. I don't know if you guys are ready. Okay. All right, let's go.
Yo, check this out.
All right. So if you guys, if it's first time here, yo, check this out, is the section of the show where I talk about fun stuff that I've discovered over the internet. And tonight I wanted to share you some of the things I considered as a collector myself. You see all the garbage behind me. I've been collecting video games for a long time. Now, there's been some stuff like in the collector's edition where they provide helmets as part of the collector's edition. So I wanted to compile a yo, check this out with the helmet version where you get helmets with your video game. So on the top of your heads, guys, I know Nick already has one on top of his head, pun intended. Any video game collector editions that that feature helmets right away?
First one that I could think of is Halo. Gotta have that Master Chief helmet, man.
Yep, that was a big one. For sure. Anything else?
I actually owned 3 helmets, so I'm gonna abstain because I know I know most of them, and I own 3.
Biased opinion. Yeah,
Never done it. I was like,
No.
what's the point? Like, what am I to do? Put this helmet on and walk around my house? For me, there's
Okay.
no point.
Fair. I mean, for a lot of people, it's just the fact that you get to wear that thing from the universe you're involved in. So I did have the Mass Effect one, especially because it lit up. It can go from the Renegade Red to the Paragon Blue. Like, that blew my mind. And when I was working at the castle, one of the team members from old Bungie traded in, I think it was a Halo 3 helmet. And that got signed by the team at 343. So I was able to snag that, and that's been in my collection for a while.
Okay. So yeah, that's exactly what the first collector's edition that we'll be chatting here is, the Halo 3 collector's edition helmet that came with the game. I wanted to add a few bit of details if you guys wanted to talk about this and what your experiences with this, because I think Leet and I have experience with this because we worked at the game store. People would trade stuff in, we would chat about it and kind of see stuff what normal people don't see, or at least person in live. And this was one of the coolest ones to be featured at the time. I think everybody wanted a piece of Master Chief, like, in some way or form, whether it's armor, his rifle, or his helmet, right?
Yeah, this was one of those ones where I had a thing where I just loved it. I really love the look of it. This picture does a pretty good job of it, but it was really well done. Really solid, really good detail, a little bit of like scoring on it too. And then the disappointing part, after you take that shawl off, you look at it, you're getting all enamored by it, you lift it up, and you can't put it on your head. It's literally it's just a holder for DVDs on the inside. I was so disappointed after getting immediately hyped. Like, that was that like immediate like, what the hell?
That
like
hurts.
I feel like a lot of people got hyped on this and then realized what it was. It's like, oh, I can't wear it.
It's
I have to
literally
go
like
to
a dust
for
cover
Halloween to get my
DVD.
Master Chief helmet,
The closest thing I could think of that disappointed me that much was seeing the Marvel vs. Capcom Infinite Collector's Edition.
Okay, what was it
I don't
about
even
it?
know what was in that.
What was it that disappointed you?
Well, the MVCI Collector's Edition was supposed to have this box with like all 6 of the Infinity Stones in it, right?
Mhm.
But they were quite literally, I shit you not,
They were rocks.
more like plastic Easter eggs.
I was gonna ask, was
yeah.
it like a ring pop kind of thing?
Man,
I wish it was ring pops. It would have at the very least had some sort of value or use.
yeah, they could have worked a little bit harder on those, especially when you're featuring gems, right? How hard is it to make a clear like gem, like that's plastic, not just Easter eggs, right? So I totally understand that, Ace, because I do have it back here somewhere. I do wanted to share the value of these things. Just to let you know, the MSRP on this Halo 3 Legendary Edition, released in 2007, was priced at $129.99. Can anybody take a stab at how much it costs today, new in box?
New unopened.
Unopened. Because since we're doing MSRP, we're good. What was that, Oliver?
I said $49.95.
$49.95. That's actually the loose price, just the helmet itself.
Oh my gosh.
That
That means it's got to be like 6, 7.
Okay.
Yeah.
So
My
so
serious
the
guess,
way-
I was thinking closer to like 4, maybe 5.
Okay, so the way this is marketed and graded as far as price, value is based on how much is the most someone willing to spend on it, right?
Mhm.
The last sale on this recorded on the internet was on eBay in March 31st last month, so that's recent, brand new sealed, and that person paid $399 for it and 97 cents. So
Okay.
400 was on point. Good job, guys. Yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, what is the difference of that in how many years? That's like the inflation of this thing, $129.99 all the way to $400. It's more than double. That's amazing.
Yeah,
I'm not
actually pretty
too
good.
surprised. My number was a little bit higher because you said the loose price was what it was, and I'm guessing that's the price charting one. So that versus like what people actually buy it for is one of my favorite conversations we have in the retro store when people are trading stuff in, because they'll go up and be like, "Hey, I can see on eBay right now this is listed for $5,000. You should give me $5,000 for it," and we have to go like, "No."
No.
First off, look
Yeah,
at
no.
sold. Look at sold listings. It's like, look,
Yeah.
it's sold for $40. Like, I'm not gonna give you $5,000, my guy. Like, I'm gonna sell it for 39. I'm not gonna give you exactly what I'm selling it for.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
Listing and sold are two different things,
Yeah.
'cause-
I'd buy that for $1.
Absolutely. $1 or more. All right. Move on to the next one.
Oh my goodness. Sorry, that literally just reminded me. Oh, speaking of, visiting the retro store, Smoking Scorpio and I, we hopped over to Reset Games for a little bit just to do a little retro wandering, see what we could find. And we found a copy of the Eye of Judgment for PS3
Oh boy.
Oh wow,
for $1.
damn.
Too much. Bro. Too much. Because as a person that's worked in the game store, I can't wait to get rid of that thing. So you'd be doing me a favor by buying it. So I'll throw it in for free if you buy something else. How about that?
Oddly enough, they did buy something. They did buy something else to go with it, but still, Eye of Judgment for $1. But I found out earlier in the afternoon that they actually have they had the whole set, cards and everything, just no game.
Mm.
Hmm.
And I still need to look up actually what a complete an Eye of Judgment complete set.
It's not a lot unless it's sealed, to be honest with you. Because when I was working there, it wasn't a lot then. It was like $5 maybe.
Oh yeah.
Right. With the cards. But yeah, that's something I feel like the future of Yu-Gi-Oh should be doing, right? Like they should be able to kind of take a camera to those cards and make them digital into your game. And Konami should be doing that with their software.
Right? Especially with the camera software on the Switch too.
Yeah. And there you go, man. There you go. I think Konami should just capitalize that. All right, let's see here. All right, moving to the next one here because we do got a few of them. We got a total of 5. So this
Helmets.
one, what? I got a helmet.
He's got his damn helmet.
You're not gonna
Yeah.
put it on there.
How many DVDs?
Nah,
you
I
got
can't
there,
put this
man?
one on and this is what I want to show you if you want to take a quick moment, if you want to blow me up on the screen really quick.
Blow you up.
Blow me up. So the helmet, DVD entry, ain't always fitting in that.
No, it literally is just a DVD. Oh,
So disappointing.
Look, I give you
Um,
full marks if you had all of red versus blue in there. I'd be like, that's cool.
So-
no, that's rad.
Oh, look at that signed. That's cool.
Yeah,
Oh,
like I said, this
okay.
was from the dev team on Halo
Mhm.
3, as I found out later, because I connected with one or two of them and verified their signatures, but it's not obviously authentication or anything. It's just for me to hold on to. But that kind of came to the store. It's just really cool to check out, just something I was kind of connected to. But yeah, man, this was oh, I can't wait to see this. This is awesome. And then just getting that disappointment when oh, just the game is inside.
Regardless.
I love it.
There you go. All right, so the next one, moving on to the next collector's edition. There we go. Is Doom Eternal Collector's Edition. So that one featured a helmet as well, and I'll throw it on the screen here. Arguably one of the hardest collector's editions to acquire, in my personal opinion, because I wanted to buy one and I couldn't get one. So that's pretty hard if James can't get one. Yeah, it's super cool. It has the helmet, has a little mixtape too, which is cool. Like, because the music was so important in the game. And of course, along with the steelbook and other digital items to kind of show off, like you bought the collector's edition as well. Now, this bad boy, I think this was during COVID. Yeah, it was released in 2020, and it was priced at $199.99. So it's pretty expensive because the deluxe edition itself was $99. The collector's edition, given the game was $99, it was $100 extra. So you guys, was this on your radar at all? Were you guys looking to pick this up, or what kind of your thoughts on this?
It wasn't until I saw the price back in the day, like,
Yeah.
because I love Doom 2016, and I mean the wearable helmet thing started to be more and more of like a super premium item. You don't get a lot of them. So I did want this, but then I saw that price.
Yeah. I think this was the era, but of course it was COVID, so everybody was indoors. And I do remember right after the show when this was revealed, I went to go to Bethesda and try to pre-order it. Man, the website crashed. Like, I could not access it whatsoever. By the time I actually got in, it was already sold out. So it was just a rough time during that time to get collector's editions in 2020 because everybody at home, right?
Dude, everything was wild at that time. Remember, Razer was selling an RGB mask for COVID too?
Which is, by the way, discontinued because I was looking into getting one just to have one. I want to look like some cyberpunk dude, right? Super cool. All right, so it was MSRP'd at $199.99. How much do you think it is brand new in box? I'll give you a hint. Loose price on this thing, which means I think it's just a helmet, because it's like not box. Oh yeah, there's a complete and then there's loose. So it's just a helmet. It is $436.22 for the loose price.
Jesus. Well,
Yeah,
if the
that's what I said.
loose price means just the helmet, I can't imagine it's going to move too much because the game is pretty readily available.
Yeah.
It's more so whether or not they're going to get that Mondo Steelbook with it, which might bump the price.
It is wearable, as you can see on the screen. It's a wearable helmet.
6.
Okay, 6. You got
certainly
6.
helps. Yeah, that sounds about right.
Okay, Ace.
I'd agree.
Between the steelbook, the mixtape, and the art book, as
The
well as the
mixtape,
helmet, like all of it, all of it together, I'd guess closer to $750.
All right. Well, the brand new price last sold. Let me take that back. The highest price has ever been sold. Let me check what this is here. Yeah, so I'm going to give you the highest price that's ever been sold, and I'll tell you when's the last time it was sold. Okay, the highest price this thing was ever sold was for $813. Okay, brand new sealed. The collector's edition for the PS4 was sold last month. Oh, sorry, this says January 5th, 2025 on the PS4 for $397. So $400 is actually its real value. Right? Because 800 could be like peak hype, right? People were like just throwing money at this thing to have it.
Yeah.
But it's kind of flatlined now. It's actually on the trend of going up because of Dark Ages. So people are like going back and seeing if they can buy this again, right? So that's what it looks like. But it looks like it's floating around 400 and a high and a low around 180 or so for complete. So
it just so you know, in case you didn't, because we're on the topic, you know that they're doing the wearable helmet replica for Dark Ages too, right?
Did I have the helmet? Because I already got the collectors. So
the helmet's separate. They're just selling it on the Bethesda Gear
Yeah,
Store.
I didn't get that. First of all, my head's too big for any kind of helmet. That's all I'm saying. My head is a helmet. So that's
I'm gonna throw it in the DMs because it's got that a little bit of that medieval style. I dig it, but it is just that helmet and patches and stuff.
It is pretty cool. Who knew that giving just like a cape to Doom Guy would make him look even cooler? But yeah, he's pretty cool looking.
Well, come on, it's that same trend as putting cloaks on mechs.
Oh yeah, yeah. I mean, Doom Guy is basically a mech, right? I would have to say that.
Sure.
All right, so the next one here is my personal first experience with helmets in video games, because since Nick had his Halo 3, I had my own version since I didn't own a 360 with Killzone on the PS3.
Oh god, I hated that helmet.
That's dope.
Nick's like, I hated that helmet.
I hated that helmet because we got them
That's
traded
so
in all the
cool.
time, and the rubber hoses on there were just like dust collectors, man.
That is the coolest looking vacuum cleaner I have ever seen.
Yeah. It
Like,
is.
you know that gets down in the crevices, right? Like I can
Mhm.
see you taking it out to the car and getting the crumbs out of there. Those look like good hoses for that. I don't know. I just got a feeling.
Hell gas detailing.
Yeah,
There you
and I
go.
feel like if they ever made a new Hellgas game on the PS5, like or a Killzone Hellgas game, that'd be kind of cool. Actually, just Hellgas. They would probably update this thing where it would be more, wearable, like just like the Doom thing. But you'd probably be playing as the Hellgast versus like the good guys, right? So that'd be kind of interesting. All right, this was also, I believe, MSRP'd at $129.99, so the same price as Halo 3 in 2011. Featured the helmet, art book, a voucher for downloadable content, and a 6.5 cloaking Hellgas marksman action figure back there. See that back there?
Oh,
They just ran out of paint. Now we're like, oh, we'll just leave it at that. All right. Now take a guess on how much this is new price in 2007. And also, I'll tell you, and I'll tell you what's the recent sale on this guy.
I don't know. It can't be high though. That looks very plasticky. You know.
Okay. That's
I
true.
don't know if people are juiced up about this one.
I'll give you the hint. Loose price is $50.60.
I know it. It's just like it doesn't feel.
I mentioned my dislike of the helmet. It feels that way too, especially after you get on, like James said, at the same time as like the Halo 3 one ish.
Yeah.
Coming out a few years before it. This one just felt cheap, and that's nothing against the team that put it together, but it just kind of felt like an afterthought.
Yeah,
No
all
guess
the
on
money
price for me.
hoses. All the money went to the piping and the hoses, because like even this one doesn't have that cool like sheen that was on Master Chief's helmet.
Right.
The eyes on here is just plastic, right? So there's nothing extra about it.
Oh, I know what's wrong with it. See, those are two of the Infinity Stones right there. Right? They got the soul gems in there. That's what's wrong.
Hellgan soldiers have no souls.
Yeah, I think it's one of those things like you think of like the Master Chief one and what they did with it, and then you look at some of the other ones I'm sure we'll talk about, including like the Mass Effect one. Things started moving into having more of a premium feel for the price you're paying and like actual lights and stuff on it. This was just exactly as you see it.
Yeah, it is.
Wow.
Like it is pretty much a statue at this point, right? It's not like a cool helmet. Honestly, it's literally just a statue or a replica of a helmet, but not an actual helmet itself.
Right.
So, Ace, you got a something on the price?
Maybe like maybe 290, 300.
Okay, all right, that's a good one actually. Well, the new price on this guy is $141.99. Okay, so that's not that much a difference. It was $130 before. It gained $20. The highest this has ever sold on eBay, according to price charting, was sold in September. No, sorry, that's there's a newer one. February 20th this year, so not that long ago actually, for $224. Right, that's the highest it's ever peaked. So that must have been in like super unique condition, and the guy really wanted it. Right. That's not much on that. I honestly believe if there was any news of a new Killzone, this price would go up because the hype would come back, right?
Oh yeah,
Sure.
But of right now, there's no demand for Hellgas. I'm just gonna call it Hellgas to Killzone on there as well. All right, the next one
it's the Hellgas game.
Yeah, there you go. Hellgas game. The next one is a little bit more recent, and I'm pretty sure everybody knows which one this is. Put it on the screen there. All right. So Elden Ring Premium Collector Edition had Millennia's helmet on there as well.
That's neat.
And yeah, it was only specifically sold in the Bandai Namco store. I saw this and I was like, where am I going to put that thing? I'll take the statue, but man, the helmet, too large. And it's a 1-to-1 scale replica, so it's exactly how it should fit. Pretty cool.
It's wearable.
Pretty cool. I don't know if it's wearable, but I'm pretty sure it is because I have seen some cosplayers wear it, right? So this was released in 2022, literally like 3 years ago, for $259.99. exclusive at the Bandai Namco store, replica of Millennia's helmet, a statue of Millennia, a steelbook, and a 40-page hardcover art book with the soundtrack. So pretty awesome. All right. Let's take a stab on how much you think it is now. And remember,
$750.
it's only 3 years. Okay.
All right, 3 years doesn't
$750.
matter. Not with the iconic boss and how popular the series has gotten.
Yeah.
It's got to be 4 figures. Easy.
Yeah. So I actually missed this one because I chose to get the one without the helmet, but I do still have the statue of Michaela. Loose price, guys. This is loose price. So I think just the helmet. $854.62.
God damn.
Not surprised. Not surprised.
Yeah.
That's my rent.
Yeah. If you had bought it and you're like, you know what, I just need money. Here, I'll sell this helmet. That's how much someone paid for it.
Ugh.
All right. So pretty up there. It is. So I'll give you another hint. It is over 4 figures. So take a stab at that number.
Are you saying it's over 4 figures? As it is over
As in the
dollars
tens of
or
thousands?
Over $1,000.
Wait,
But
what?
is it over 10,000? I was trying to figure out
No,
your semantics there. Okay. Geez, you said new or
New, complete in box. Yeah, new.
complete in
Which
box?
means they bought it and they like just took
1,500.
off the 1,500. Anybody else?
Yeah. No, I'll agree with the 15. That
Ace?
sounds about
3 stacks.
Oh, okay.
Baller. Damn, relax. All right. So brand
Ace
new
not
price.
here.
Brand new price on this thing, $1,900.38. So almost $2,000.
So I
for this thing.
overestimated it, but
Yeah,
still.
$2,000.
Oof.
So someone may wonder in chat, damn, like is somebody just thirsty for that, and they paid way too much? There's a lot of listings for this thing, and one just sold March 2nd last month for $1,900 on eBay. So somebody just recently bought one for $1,900.
Is that from Software Hype, man? It's with more and more games and now Dustblood and
the highest
That's
been was actually in 2024 in September, and I think they were just scrambling to get this because it was a lot of the sales hold prices were the same. Was $2,100. So somebody's value to this was, I'll pay $2,000 for that. That's crazy.
I will say it's got a lot of things working against it. The fact that it's on Bandai Namco's store only. I remember talking to some of our Bandai reps when we were working for the company together. Like, they do limited anyway, and when it's on their store, not even the reps can get a hold of it. Like, it is very hard to get a hold of Bandai store stuff. Even for the people that work there. Like, I really wanted the Steelbook for like Tales of Vesperia when they were doing that re-release on 360. And I could not get it at all.
Yeah, this one, like the like if you cut off the helmet on this one and have everything else, that was available to the public massively, like the statue only. But the helmet was only from their store, and it was $100 more. And you know what? From what I remember, it was easily available, just because like it was pricing out a lot of people out, right? And it was because you were literally just paying for the helmet extra, and so there wasn't a lot of traffic on it, but it did eventually sell out. So
because people caught on.
Oh yeah, for sure. And there's always a limited window. Like the most recent one that was on there for a while that was $500 was their armored core one that had like the whole like hanger for your armored core. It was $500, and like it was there for months after the release because people weren't caring about the hanger for them, for their armored core. But eventually it did sell out. All right, last one. Of course, I think Nick's super familiar with this.
You think?
I think so.
I think I wore it on one of our our things, one of our podcasts.
Legendary Cash. So, funny enough, I did just order the Mass Effect Legendary Edition on eBay, so I'll be playing that soon for my channel. But
finally,
this one was let's see here. It was released in 2021, bundled at a price of $149.99. Came with a wearable N7 helmet with adjustable lights, a Paragon Renegade Morality spinner pin, an N7 acceptance letter, canvas art prints, and metal case for the game. Notably, the game itself was not included in this bundle. Boo. So it was technically $220.
It came with the game.
Yeah, this one said it was not.
Oh no, it did. I have it. I have the Steelbook with the discs inside.
I'll tell you.
All right, cool. Maybe I got a special edition. No, because I was going to say for 150 it was a really good deal because of the fact that it did have those LEDs in it. I really wanted it, so I still have it. It still lights up, and it is wicked cool. It actually fits my head, which is, anytime these helmets come along, besides, the Halo 3, which is some friggin' DVDs. I was really excited to get this. It's really well done. And I also have the alternative version of this, which is just all gray. It's called the Andromeda version of it. So they released one like that as well. I think it was the helmet by itself. You could just buy it from like the BioWare gear store. It was just like an alternative one, but same thing. It lit up. It just happened to be like flat gray across instead of having this like red on the top. But as a huge fan of the series, I was going to buy the Legendary Edition anyway. So getting the game and all the extras for that price was worth it to me as like a big fan of the series. But I can absolutely see, people not wanting stuff like that. The prints were really nice, like super, like really, like long placard kind of like canvas, and of course the steelbook, which I'm a slut for. I've got a thing for steelbooks, and I'm not shy about that. But yeah, no, I love this helmet. It's so cool. My wife hates it.
Oh, of course. I'm not surprised. Yeah, I'm lucky that my girlfriend appreciates my horde back here. So great.
Her last name is Shepherd. Like, it was perfect.
I know. That was the irony of that.
Yeah.
Okay, so loose price on this bad boy, $262.50. So we're already doubling the investment here, guys, just for the helmet. Right. All right. Any takes on the new price?
Okay, I'll try my $750 again. Okay. Just because, Mass Effect is pretty hard for people. The people that love it, right? Like they're hard on that one. Mm-hmm. So just all together, yeah, I can see it for going for close to $1,000.
I would say I'm going to say $350, but I think I'm lowballing it a little bit.
Okay, Ace.
I'd say closer to $5.
$5. Okay. All right. So the average new price for this thing is $485.99.
Okay, there you go.
New price, and the last sale on this bad boy was on March 5th, 2025, for 600 bones. So that's
okay. There we go. That's closer.
Yeah,
I was going to say, don't ask me the value of shit. I don't know.
And I would like to add, there is not a lot of people selling it. So people are keeping it and holding on to it. So for brand new, at least.
Back in my glass case.
Brand new, at least. Yeah. So the fans are dedicated. They bought it because they want to keep it, not scalp it.
It's super interesting to like talk about this. I'm glad you did a little game with it too, because it's always super interesting to see how collectibles and collector's editions kind of scale over time. Mm-hmm. The Horizon Zero Dawn collector's edition that I talked about going back to rebuy after trading the game, that collector's edition complete, even used, has skyrocketed in price as well from what I found. So it's starting to get to the point now, it's like, if it hits a certain value with some of these collectibles, do you feel comfortable, letting it go for those prices? It gets to that point now where you're just like, man, I'm a huge fan. I thought I'd keep it, but for that price.
Well, I just never thought, because I started collecting collector's editions on the PS3 era. I was going out of my way to find if there was a collector's edition of that, and that started with Resident Evil 5. Right. And but before that, I could care less. If it was like a deluxe edition that just had this extra thing, remember when GameStop gave you free stuff, right, for pre-ordering them? I just accepted that. But now I actually go out of my way to get the collector's edition. And apparently a lot of people have. So this is why collector's edition, deluxe editions are a thing. So yeah, guys, thanks for playing the game. That was pretty fun. I'll think of something more interesting to do next time as well. So, but yes, that is. Yo, check this out. TJ combo, love it. All right, so let's get on to the meat and potatoes, of course, on Gaming Academy for this week in gaming history. Excellent. But yes, if it's your first time here, this week in gaming history, as it says, we talk about game releases that occur for this week in gaming history, from the birth of Nintendo all the way to the collection edition of Elden Ring. So hold on to your butts, because we're gonna go in there. We're going in hard. All right, so let's see what's the next one here. Slide, come to me. All right, 4-6. We got Ninja Gaiden 2: The Dark Sword of Chaos. Back on Nintendo. It was released in 1990 in Japan. Believe it or not, the design for the cover art for this was slightly different on Ryu Hayabusa, and I'd never noticed that until I put them side by side. The US version had more like metal filigree on his wristbands, and also he had like a Naruto like metal band on his head in the US version. But apparently the Japanese one, he didn't have that, but everything else is pretty much the same. So have you guys conquered and beaten Ninja Gaiden 2 on NES?
Oh yeah.
Right on.
Yeah, that was the one. I couldn't do 1 and I couldn't do 3, but 2, no, that's my bitch.
That was the sweet spot.
That's the sweet spot. Hell yeah, I stomped that game out.
I'm the same way. I felt like 1 was like, what is this game? And then 2 was like, wow, this is like Mega Man 2 in comparison to Mega Man 1. 2 was a little bit more, easy in comparison of. So I'm the same way. 3 was just like super hard. Did not touch 3 for some reason. What about you guys?
For me, long time ago in a ghetto far away.
Jesus.
I did actually beat it a long time ago in a ghetto far away.
Okay, right on. I think I had played 2 more than I did 1. I think I started playing 1 because I only played 2. Just like Mega Man. It's kind of weird that some of these Nintendo sequels were better than the original one. So.
Yeah, I mean, like,
That's
more,
a fact.
but like one of the big things about Ninja Gaiden, at least with me and my siblings, was that the bulk of our gaming collection was actually on my older brother's Genesis. So we played Shinobi first. And
Makes sense.
yeah, it's like we played Shinobi first, and then we played Ninja Gaiden. And us being kids, we're like, is Ninja Gaiden like, the Nintendo port of Shinobi?
Nah, no
Yes,
one-
we were kids. We were dumb.
I think
All right.
mine was like Shinobi and Wrath of the Black Manta was like the comparison with that for me. I don't know why. They had nothing to do with each other, but that was like my comparison because I was a dumb kid as well. All right. Other proper releases that came out on April 6th. Digital Devil Story Megami Tensei 2 on the Nintendo in 1990 in Japan. Ultraman on the Super Nintendo in 1991 in Japan. I actually owned that for the Super Nintendo. Super fun game. And Xenoblade Chronicles all the way back in the Wii in 2012. So that's super fun, super neat. Other fun facts: 1992, Microsoft Windows 3.1 released and includes games like Minesweeper, Solitaire, and Hearts when games were offline. They're not offline all the time. Also in 2006, Lionhead Studios is acquired by Microsoft Game Studios. The creators behind Fable and Black and White have not released a game since 2014, since Fable Anniversary. Will 2026 finally break that trend? What do you guys think?
Well, being as Microsoft shifted it to 2026, finally, right? I remember when this went down, people were like decrying it as this is the end of Lionhead, and for a while there, it looked like it may have been.
It's true. When you're away for that long, you're always kind of wondering if they can even like bring it back. Like Duke Nukem.
Right?
Oh yeah.
Like, you wonder if it'll either be a Duke Nukem Forever situation, or if it'll be a Half-Life 3 situation.
Oh God! No! Don't you put that evil on me, Ace?
Why not both?
Why not both? Half-Life Nukem 3.
Oh no, forever.
Yeah.
Right, you
All
fucked
right,
around,
forever.
you took too long, and now you can't make dick jokes anymore. It's just a fucking tragedy.
I still think they should make a new Demolition Man with Half-Life. Nukem. Kind of fun.
Damn.
All right, on the 7th of April, Team Fortress Classic released on the PC in 1999. And I wanted to feature this because, well, aside from playing Counter-Strike, we were playing Team Fortress Classic, and we were having a fun in the school lab before we got caught and had to delete all of it at the lab. So luckily, we were not suspended. So you guys have any experience with Team Fortress Classic before it went all like Pixar on us?
I did just because I played all of the Half-Life offshoots, because that's when I got really into Counter-Strike. I played a little bit like early on in some of the beta stuff, if I remember right, but I played a lot during this area. 1.5.
He said, "I'll tell you about Blue Shift." Like, oh
yeah. Oh my god, Opposing Force, Blue Shift, like name
Opposing
it, man.
Force,
I definitely tried it.
Yeah, it was cool to be like you get to be the soldiers that are trying to kill Gordon. That was kind of cool. Like that idea was like super neat. Also, that was a fun fact. Counter-Strike was the first time I ever experienced what a mod was on PC. So I was like, "This is a brand new game. This is cool." They're like, "Nah, friend, this is a mod." I was like, "I don't know what that means. I feel like I'm not playing Half-Life." You know?
Yeah, it's. I mean, other teams had kind of done stuff similar to that. There's plenty of people like in the PC scene before them with like making maps, like Doom Editor, for example, like all the WAD maps that came out with that. So we had something like that, but not like full-fledged mods like this that turned into their own games, at least on that scale. Like this was when that blew it up.
Technically, that's how we got League of Legends, right? So
yeah,
not surprised. Not surprised.
I think the closest I'd seen to that outside of the, outside of that map editor was the what you call it, the Randrot, the Rise of the Triad randomizer that was out.
Oh yeah, I forget that we both played a lot of Rush.
Oh, Rise of the Triad.
Oh, that was wild.
All right, other games that came out that day: Outlaws on the PC in 1997. Ninja Blade on the 360 in 2009. Speaking of Ninja Gaiden, Broforce on the PC and Mac in 2014. And last session we talked about what was that? Raw Danger, right? Which was Disaster Report 2. Disaster Report 4, Summer Memories, came out on the Switch, PS4, PC in 2020. And the House of the Dead remake on the Switch came out in 2022. Also, in 1986, Atlas Company was formed from Galaxy Odyssey at inception to Unicorn Overlord in 2024. They are responsible for some of the largest RPGs in the industry. I love Atlas for sure.
Atlas changed my life.
Reading Disaster Report and seeing Summer Memories on the end, that sounds to me like the beach episode in any anime. Like it just sounds like a complete left turn. Or like where did this come from? Why Summer Memories?
Yeah,
I played Disaster Report 4 on a whim, having never played any of the other ones. I was like,
man,
this just seems neat. And I was laughing the entire time. I was
it's
like,
so
this is
funny.
Some of the funniest shit I've ever seen. What the fuck?
It's so
I was like,
funny.
man.
It's like, honestly, it's like you're watching like such a bad like show, but you can't stop watching it.
Yeah,
right?
I was drawn in. I was like, wait, I can't wait till 5 comes out. What about 1, 2, and 3? Oh, fuck them. I don't care.
The game has some charm. My choice for this list was Broforce on the PC and Mac. I played this on actually console, and this was just a side scroller shooter like Contra with some physics in it. But the best charming part about it was the characters that you unlock as you play the game, where they're all just parodies of 80s action heroes, which is the best part of the game. So if you guys haven't checked out Broforce and you like side scroller shooters, check it out. Do you have it on the screen?
Yeah, I pulled it up on my screen. I remember you and I played this a lot when it first came out. Just because of the over-the-top humor of it, and each level's like super quick. So you're just like jumping in, trying to figure out the little puzzle to get to the end, kill guys along the way kind of thing, and just get out. So it's very much like a tongue-in-cheek take on like America and all the bros that are part of the bro force. And just some of the names they gave them were the best part, like bro names to these like action heroes that we knew. I loved this game when it came out, and I remember trying to get all of my friends to like download it and play it. And we would I remember there was a couple times we did Retroid nights, right? And we had this
Brohard.
Yeah, Brohard.
Yes.
Had this running in the background, and we just let people play it, and people had a blast, just kind of running around. Ridiculous. It wasn't like a big negative for dying. You just start the level over kind of thing. So it really wasn't too hard to play. It was just fun and very tongue-in-cheek, like I said. So it was a blast.
It's very charming, for sure. It's a great, nice little casual game. I loved it.
Oh, it'd be a great game. It'd be a great game to play yearly for like the 4th of July.
I think I do that, but I kind of stopped because it would be like the third time I played it for the 4th of July.
I will say, if we can, like, the 4 of us sit down and play like multiplayer on that, it gets super chaotic as you get more people on it.
Oh yeah, because there's like
I'm
a lot
down
of
for it.
physics and explosions for sure. You know who's not down for it, or for this game? This game right here. No one's down for this game. Ask James Rolfe. No one's down for Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde. That was released on April 8th, 1988 in Japan. Right. So I don't know if anybody has heard of this game or played it, but this game is booty sweat. It's not great.
I always wanted to play it as a kid. I saw it in the fucking Game Pro and shit. I was like, that's got to be so cool. And then I saw that shit on Angry Video Game Nerd. I was like, I don't know about this one. I'm like, man, I might have dodged a bullet when I was a young man and didn't know. When I was
Unfortunately, I definitely remember renting this, and I was like, this game is hot trash. Go return it right now.
I will say that this cover art of the Famicom card is way cooler.
Yeah, like I said, I always try to put like the Japanese version if it released in Japan. Definitely not the US version. It's a little bit more 90s on the US version. A lot of color. I think they use like a real model, right? Like a real person's face on there with makeup. Yeah, pretty interesting. One of the most notorious terrible games on the Nintendo NES. Check out Rolf Angry Video Game Nerd episode about this. It is a cultural phenomenon. How bad? Check it out. All right, moving on from the other games that released that day. Final Fantasy Origins on the PlayStation in 2003. I think that was the collection of like 1, 2, 4. Not sure, but
Origins was the collection. I think it was just 1 and 2.
1 and 2. Okay, awesome. Fatal Fury Battle Archives Volume 2 on the PlayStation 2 in 2008. And I also wanted to mention Connect Sports Rivals on the Xbox One in 2014 because we don't get enough Connect love on this channel. So
because the Connect didn't get a lot of love.
Yeah, for sure. At least you had Fatal Fury Battle Archives Volume 2 highlighted.
Yeah, Battle Archives Volume 2 is the most recent port of the real bout Fatal Fury games. Like Battle Archives 1 had all the originals, 1, 2, let's see, it was 1, 2, Special, and 3. And then with Battle Archives Volume 2, you had Real Bout Fatal Fury, Real Bout Special, and Real Bout 2.
Okay, so the later Fatal Fury games.
Yep.
Yeah, there's good value in that PS2 game for sure. I was about
to say the PS2 ports of pretty much every single Neo Geo game has been pretty damn good value.
Yeah, I was gonna say that, like, how Capcom's doing the fighting collection and stuff like that. Mm-hmm. I think SNK should be doing the same thing with their games. Maybe having all the Samurai Showdowns, having all the Fatal Fury, King of Fighters, right? Or maybe divide that by 2 or something, because there's a lot of them, right?
Well, getting those on the modern consoles would help, because I mean, there's already, let's see, there's the KOF Orochi, there's Orochi Saga and the NES collection, and then there's also KOF 2002 and 2003 sold in a single pack, as well as 2000, 2001. Let's see, there's this Samurai Showdown anthology, World Heroes anthology. So they were doing that for the PS2.
Right. What I'm saying is that Capcom's doing that for like PS4 and PS5 right now, going back to that, right? And I feel like SNK should follow suit. So when they release like Fatal Fury City of the Wolves, people can go back and be like, oh, this is where it started, right? Mm-hmm. I know you can download them by single games on their store, like not a problem. You can have access to them, but having them in a collection, I think that adds a lot of value to the physical portion of that. And also like offline, you can play it offline, right? And just play with your friends and having some sort of like okay, now I'm gonna get City of the Wolves, but now I have all of the Fatal Fury games also on disc,
Yeah.
right? So it's an easy sell for that for a lot of those guys.
And
But yeah,
it would probably do SNK a lot better than Cristiano Ronaldo and Salvatore.
boy, oh boy, that is a topic for weekend detention that we can talk about at a different time.
That
one-
is a topic for detention.
Yeah, that is a topic that has the FGC up in a ruckus. So, all right. Speaking of ruckus, does anybody remember Extinction on the PC and PS4 and Xbox?
I remember the cover art, not the game.
Oh boy!
Anybody
what a
play
regret.
this gem?
Man, the
Just
value,
think-
the
okay.
resale value on that shit is so low. Oh my god! Look, that game had me hype as fuck when it was announced, and it is man. What? Look, there's pain. There's physical pain right here.
What Oliver's trying to say was that this game was supposed to be the Attack on Titan killer,
Man,
and the only thing it did was kill its own label. So
So
Yeah,
in short, he wouldn't buy that for $1.
no, I don't. I don't think you can sell it for $1 either. Like,
ironically, I think I read somewhere this game was intended to be a mobile game, and somewhere along the lines they gave him the green light to push it to console, because it feels like a mobile game. There's not enough in it to become like a full console game or even a double A title, in my opinion. So,
And suddenly that answers a lot.
so if anyone in chat here does not know, I know Room 494 knows what it's all about because he's got a great opinion on it.
Ryan just came right out with it. Just that is trash.
Extinction was you're supposed to be like a warrior that can take down giants by targeting certain parts of their body, just like Attack on Titan, minus the 360 navigation gear. So there is really no gimmick with it, right? Because they were trying to do a Shadow of the Colossus, but more action. Go very well, and there was not enough variety in the gameplay because it was just the same thing over and over again with a time limit, right? And that was
I'm
super
sorry,
cool.
what?
With a time limit, as if they almost wanted to charge you for the energy to play the game, right? So yeah, it was not a great game, and I wanted to feature that just in case everyone forgot how bad this game was. So, let's talk about some good games here, like Soccer on the NES in 1985. I like that game. I don't know about you. I like Soccer on the NES. Midnight Club 2 on the PS2 in 2003. Super Paper Mario on the Wii in 2007. A little gem called Muramasa the Demon Blade on the Wii in 2009 in Japan. Guacamelee on the PS3, PS Vita in 2013. And The Devil Within Satgat on the PC in 2024. Not Sagat. It's not Sagat. As much as I'd like to talk about Muramasa Demon Blade because it's a Vanillaware game, tell us more about The Devil Within Satgat because I keep thinking of Shin Megami Tensei when I hear that title.
Now, let me just say this right here and now. The reason I picked it up was because I legitimately mistook it. I legitimately mistook it for something relating to Street Fighter. I'm like,
Of course you did.
I'm like, what the devil? Sagat, what does old One Eye have to do with the Devil Within? It's not like he's struggling with the Satsui no Hado. So I literally just off of that mistaken impulse picked up this game, and it turns out that it's actually a pretty solid, post-apocalyptic action exploration game. It's a Metroidvania.
Oh, cool. So you got two Metroidvanias here, Guacamelee and Satgat. That name is rough when you say that name, Satgat.
But the Devil Within sets up this really interesting sort of, again, it starts it off in like a post-apocalyptic Seoul, like post-apocalyptic South Korea, right?
Yeah.
And there's rampant destruction all over the place, demons running around, and the story starts off with the story starts off with your character basically being a part of like, a government military force, and you get to what's supposed to be like the core of what's causing all this destruction. But then, of course, a rather a rather predictable textbook betrayal occurs. Your character gets put in a coma. You wake up like years later, and shit's just gotten worse.
Yeah, but is it extinction good though?
Yeah.
Man, I'm watching this and I see what you're kind of saying about it having some things going for it. Like there was a couple things there. Like it looks like there's some good ideas there. Like the way it kind of like slices through and like it cut parts off. Like that looked cool. But everything leading up to it screamed mobile game.
Now, what you just said, repeat that 30 times each time you're playing.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, it got old really quick. But yeah, a couple other things for that day. 1984, Spike Chunsoft Co. was founded after Nakamura-san won a competition hosted by Enix, which is best known for developing Dragon Quest and being part of a huge variety of other titles in the industry. Super neat.
Okay.
I like Spike Chunsoft. In 2007, Interplay sold all IP rights to its Fallout franchise to Bethesda for $5.75 million. That's a lot of Millennia helmets. And served the right to license and dev a planned Fallout MMO, which never happened. Or is that Fallout 76?
No,
Okay.
not the Interplay MMO. So
Okay.
that I added that one because I loved Interplay games back in the day. We talked about that.
yeah.
I loved the first two Fallouts. I did not care for Fallout 3, but that was just because I wasn't big into Oblivion at the time. The pacing was a little too slow for me. It wasn't my kind of game at the time. And Fallout 3 was just Oblivion with a skin over it. So
It's true.
it wasn't for me. So when that happened, I was really sad to hear that Fallout was sold. And for better or worse, like where we see Fallout nowadays. But yeah, there was supposed to be an Interplay Fallout universe MMO that just, I don't know if it ever saw the light of day, if it got retooled and whatever. But yeah, a different team did 76, so not quite the same.
All right. Those are fun things to always know about.
I'm surprised that helmet didn't get mentioned earlier.
Oh, yeah. Huh? That's true.
Hey, we got to save stuff for the next time we do it, man. Come on now.
See,
That's
there you
true.
go.
Thanks.
Burn
All
through it
right.
all.
Speaking of next, and April 10, I don't know if anybody's heard of this game, but this is the first time I'm hearing about it. Well, Final Fantasy VII Remake was released on the PS4 in 2020. Now, there's some other games on this list, but I really wanted to feature this just because when it was announced that they were making this, I want to know from everybody here in the panel, where were you, what were you doing, and how did you feel? Because I can tell you exactly about this. Who wants to go first?
If you've got your story already ready to go, I would love to hear it.
Okay, yeah, I guess I'll just go first. So my experience with this is, of course, COVID was happening, and I wanted to kind of like, I would think we were talking about like the nature of like these companies, how they were like creating these like subpar okay games, and they were all failing, right? And people are like, they were putting too much money, and I was like, well, how do we get to save these companies? What can each company make to kind of save their butts? And I joked around. Like every day about how there's a big shiny red button at Square Enix that says Final Fantasy VII Remake on it, and it says in case of bankruptcy, press this button, right? And then when I don't know what show it was it an E3 or something where they just showed Cloud walking with the sword? You know what I'm talking about, the reveal, right?
Yeah.
And they did the music and everything, and I was like, I got like goosebumps from hearing the song and how they introduced Midgard and that. I was like, oh my god, they're doing it. They hit the damn button. They finally hit the button. And I was like, man, I was so excited. And a matter of fact, to this day, I'm still so excited. I haven't even played it yet. That's how excited I am about this game. And I'll explain that here in a second why, because I think the chat already knows how this has been one of the most like special games for me, and it's really hard for me to play just because like I might get super emotional on stream because like of how I'm connected to this game, right? So I kind of want to savor that for like a special event. But yeah, when it was announced, I got goosebumps. I got emotionally, like I got like choked up a little bit. and I was also excited that like they hit the button, man. It's real. Somebody's listening to me. They got really like. Now, what about you guys?
For me, like, I remember chilling at home, and I was just looking up stuff on YouTube. I think it was a day where I was working, so I wasn't really like paying too much attention to gaming news. But I pulled up YouTube. I was flipping through my subscriptions, and I actually saw Max's reaction video to it. And I saw it, and I was like, "You've got to be kidding me, right? Like, is this for real? Or am I actually reading this right?" I pull it up, and sure enough, like again, just that stroll through Midgar as they're just showcasing like breadth and scope of how everything looks in the remake. And again, just music, like it felt like all of my memories of playing it back in '97, the original back in '97 were just flooding back. Like it was the last time I had experienced something like that before FF7 remake. The last time I had experienced something like that before Final Fantasy VII remake was actually when Killer Instinct was announced for the Xbox One.
Yeah, I do remember being hyped for Killer Instinct on Xbox One.
Mm-hmm.
I definitely yelled when I heard that, especially the announcer.
It's like available for your home in 2005, only on Xbox One. I said, "I'm listening." But yeah, it was a trip because it almost had that same impact as the original commercials did. An adventure spanning an entire world, a cast of millions. That commercial.
I don't have a cool story for this. I didn't play Final Fantasy back in the day. I do remember, though, like leading up to those couple years right before COVID, James, when you and I were still working together, or at least staying in contact after we both left, like you were always talking about that big red button for Final Fantasy VII.
Yeah,
that joke.
Conspiracy theory.
Yeah. And then, seeing it happen, it was like that for a lot of people. It's like, oh, they finally did it. How many years have we been asking for it? It's kind of the same as like Assassin's Creed with like going to Japan. That was always like people have been clamoring that for multiple iterations. They always thought it'd be a great place for it. This was kind of one of those things that it was almost preordained. Like people wanted this, maybe eventually they'll get to it. And then eventually it was like, why haven't they done this yet? Right.
Mm-hmm.
So for me, I just am more familiar with the phenomenon of what this did in the industry and familiar with what 7 was to a lot of people. Working in a retro video game store, invariably the question comes up like, what's your favorite X from a series? And Final Fantasy being so long running, it would be like, what's your favorite Final Fantasy? And pretty often it'd be 7, it'd be 6. And then there'd be some outliers with like 9 and 8 and 10. But this one was kind of one of those titles that is just, it was known in the industry, right, as like this amazing title. So Scorpio, no, never 11 is like someone's favorite. Even the MMO fans, like admitting that you were into that, like you went out of your way to buy the modem for that. Like it was just a different style, and it wasn't as big as like 7 was for a lot of people. It's not to say those other titles were bad. It's just usually when people come in and they have nostalgia for Final Fantasy as a whole, it tended to be those titles. Keep in mind, this was a while ago. This was before Final Fantasy 14 online came out, and there's so many people playing that now. People that played 15 and enjoyed it, so that was just what we heard at the time. It's a bit different out there nowadays, but yeah, I just remember when this hit, like you said, there was that big red button. I'm like, wow, they finally did it. They must have reason to. Hopefully it's good for people that loved it.
Yeah, it's special for me because I do remember having a conversation with my younger self about this. Like, I remember watching the intro to Final Fantasy VIII, right? And you guys remember the intro to Final Fantasy VIII, right? Like demo reel before the game actually starts. And I remember going, someday we're gonna be playing a video game, and the video game's gonna look like that, right? And then like to have Final Fantasy VII remake look like that, I experienced like a lifetime of like what was I, high school all the way till now, and I was like, we made it, we finally did it, like as a gaming culture, as like a community, right? Like as an industry, I got to see like video games play that looked like the intro to this other game. It's amazing, and it's an amazing perspective to have. Like, so I don't know if you guys ever had any experience like that with any, or conversation like that with any other game. Well, Final Fantasy VII was the staple of like what games are gonna look like in the future. And the 7 was the gameplay that I wanted, but 8 was the graphics that I wanted for 7 from the intro of 8, right? So that's kind of why it's so exciting for me. So yeah, and really, I would love to. Yeah,
sorry, go ahead. I was just going to say, for my part, it's really kind of weird, I guess I'll say is the word for it, to be a part of this industry for so long and know these iconic titles, never playing them for myself, but knowing the impact they have on people, and then seeing this trailer, or like I have up on the screen the gameplay for this and the graphics and everything. Like, it's incredible to see it updated and just be like, wow, this looks great, it looks incredible, it looks like they're moving it forward. And then have to be like, I have no idea what it's about, but I'm sure there's people that are just like, crapping themselves, like you were, like just emotionally attached, seeing these things enter the future, as it were, and like reliving those like nostalgic things. It's a multi-billion-dollar industry now just for collecting toys, like the nostalgic people in our age groups buying just plain toys. So having video games like jump to new levels and still stay in the medium, but just like push it forward and be with the current generation, but bring back that nostalgia still. Like, you can tell that just by like watching this gameplay. And like I said, having never played it, I didn't have any of those kind of like attachments, but you can still respect, like, they brought this forward and it looks incredible.
The biggest thing for me is that like Final Fantasy didn't have voice acting, and so you had to read everything, right? And it was open for interpretation the way you read it, and the way the characters interacted with each other. Like you never heard how they sounded like and how they how they would react, but now you have that, which is like a big thing for somebody that has gets information. Like I like visuals. That's just how I like to communicate and like absorb information. So it's a big deal for me. And that's this is why I've been like, this is a special. It's like my little ring from Lord of the Rings. Like, oh, one day we'll play. Like we'll play. Kind of how I treat them. Yeah, I can go about it all night, but yeah, if you guys have any more stories, great. Otherwise, I'll move on.
I'm good. Like this, again, just seeing the trailer for this pretty much had, it had the penny arcade effect on me. I saw it and it was like, it was like I was my younger self again. Just, seeing all this and going, we've been around long enough for this to actually finally start looking like the intro to Final Fantasy VIII, and just how how action packed that was.
Yeah, like I said, the biggest thing for me was like I felt like I went back in time and high-fived my younger self to tell him like, dude, you're in for a treat, my man. It's gonna be 30 years, but just wait. That's literally how I felt when I saw the trailer. That's just what I get excited just thinking about it because of that. And Oliver, did you have something? I don't know, saying something.
Well, sir. Well, sir. I'm gonna just take key off of Ace here, man. That trailer was dope, and that demo was one of the best demos I've ever played in my life. But then I got my hands on that game, and I don't think I've ever been so frustrated with the remake of anything before. Just, they took that shit in a whole other direction that I was not anticipating at all. I'm the hater. I'm the hater on this one. I'm like, all they had to do was just make it pretty, just like they did. The voice work phenomenal. The music is great, right? The representation of things was fantastic, but the gameplay, I was like, why didn't you just let people who want regular turn-based ATB, let them have that? And I don't know, I got the big dummy box too, man. I was so juiced up for it. I had to yell at everybody else that I knew. I was like, hey, why don't you slow down and let these guys give them a chance to disappoint you. I sure fucking did. They disappointed me just fine.
And it's a lot of
like
go ahead, Nick.
Oh no, I was gonna say that sounds like the response that a lot of people have when they first played Like a Dragon for the Yakuza series.
Ooh,
Like,
yeah.
turn-based,
The
am I
reverse,
brawler game?
They were like, what the fuck is this?
Yeah. I got you.
No.
And I kind of felt that too. I was like, oh, well, this is gonna like either disappoint a lot of people or get new people to like want to play it, right?
Yeah.
Definitely not. It wasn't for everybody for sure. I played the demo and I was like, I felt like it was kind of clunky, right? Because I did play the demo because everybody had to play the demo. I was kind of concerned about it, but I'm more excited. I was more just kind of drawn to like the story, kind of like how they. It's kind of like that, just the visual medium of it all, you know.
Yeah, the visuals are so on point. Like I can't knock them a single thing for that. I mean, just even looking at the clip going right now, man, you're like, oh man, this is the section, right? Yeah, and you're going through it, and it's like, oh, this is so different to do this and to be an active participant. And don't get me wrong, there are big glowing spots, but as a guy that likes to plat games, I was like, I'm not playing this. I'm not going to come back. I'm not going to revisit this. I'm going to take this. I'm just going to keep it for my kid, and I'll get an original copy of Final Fantasy VII. I'll keep that for my kid, and he can sit down and look at the comparisons and see where we came from and where we headed to, and who knows from there. I will say this one thing though: they should not have launched 7 Remake at the tail end of that generation. That was a bad move overall. Right, and then to go through all the stuff with remake and remake integrate and yada yada yada, it's like you should have just saved it all for the PS5. Just if you get it all out in one generation, people will forgive you for a lot. But no, we're gonna go back to this Square Enix panic button here. And like they still got one on the shelf. And that's Chrono Trigger, and now I can't count on them to not fuck that up. So I'm just nervous.
Same.
I'm just nervous all the time. I'm just like, just biting all my nails off, like in the Warner Brothers cartoon. Like, no, I'm just scared.
I think one thing to be said for that too is I'm fully expecting they're not going to do this kind of full treatment with that title.
Oh yeah.
I don't think it makes sense for what that is. I mean, we had spiritual successors with I Am Setsuna that did pretty decent. Talk of Final Fantasy IX being remade. All the games right now that are getting like Sprite 2.5D updates and selling well and looking good. Like, there's not a need to do that, I think. And I think, like you said, it would kind of push against like what made that game great. I feel like there's plenty of stuff nowadays to keep it in its original, style almost, just updated.
Right. And yeah, with Akira Toriyama passing away, I don't think that they would. I mean, I could be wrong, but it would just be like, I might put a bad taste in some people's mouths. They're like, oh, now we'll do it. Now that he's, not in the way or it has to be dealt with. I don't know. How people are. Like, it can just be weird.
And of course, my lizard brain working the way it does, I say we already got a damn fine spiritual successor to Chrono Trigger. It's called Grand Blue Fantasy Relink.
Yeah, that's a mouthful. I'd rather just have Chrono Trigger.
That's Square, though. Square is going to be like, no, we got to do our own. We got to get that money. It's all about the money. Honestly, I think if they're going to do a Chrono Trigger remake, the farthest they'll go will probably be.
Like, did you say a Contra remake?
Chrono Trigger.
Oh, Chrono Trigger. I was like, Contra. We just got that. That just happened.
If they had a Contra remake, it would definitely be Vanquish. That's for sure. But that's a whole different topic. All right, other games that came out on the 10th. Dot Hack Quarantine Part 4 on the PS2 in 2003 in Japan. Odama in the GameCube in 2006, Skullgirls on the PS3 in 2012, and King of Fighters 12 on the arcade in 2009 in Japan. As much as I would love to talk about Odama, because I don't know if anybody in chat knows what that game is. What is up with King of Fighters 12, Ace?
12 was 12 was definitely, yeah, you could say it was like an early resurgence for SNK, because it had been a while, and KOF 11 was still being played pretty readily in not just in the arcades but also in tournaments. So when KOF 12 released, not just for the arcade but also eventually for the PS3 and for the Xbox 360, people were by and large excited until they actually got their hands on the game. Mechanically, it was sound. It still felt and played like a KOF. It introduced the drive mechanics and the like a more advanced canceling system compared to KOF 11. But otherwise, on the consoles at least, it was basically a KOF tech demo.
It's a very pretty game, and there's no doubt about it. And I do remember playing this, and I also remember it not feeling like a King of Fighters game. And so that's my but they redeemed themselves with 13. But 12 was like rough. It was a big change from the normal KOF formula as far as like the way it felt.
Yeah,
I think that was the big disappointment with this one.
Yeah, beautiful game though.
Yeah, I do own this, and I do want to like someday maybe do a deep dive on how they made this game, because like I think each character that you see on this screen took like I think 4 to 6 months to complete because of how strenuous they had to work this game. And I remember seeing a website about it. I can't find a link, unfortunately, but this guy went in deep on how this game was made, because I was super curious on how they made this game, because it was like pixel perfect, because these are 2D sprites on 3D models.
Mm-hmm.
And it's super cool. It's never been done before when this was released. So super cool. All right. Next one. We're almost done, guys. All right, 411. Dark Souls 3 was released on the PC in 2016. Now, there's a lot of games on this list, and I'll just go through them real quick. Alundra on the PlayStation in 1997 in Japan. Primal on the PS2 in 2003, and I'm pretty sure that's a Sony IP, right? So they can totally remake that if they wanted to, if they were desperate. Postal 2 on the PC in 2003 in Japan, which is a weird place to release that game, in my opinion. Midnight Club 3 Dub Edition on the PS2 and Xbox in 2005. Samurai Champloo Sidetracked on the PS2 in 2006. Tomb Raider Legend on the PC, PS2, Xbox 360 in 06 as well, and Dark Souls 3 in 2016. So I kind of chose Dark Souls 3 for it to be talked about for this section, just because like it is technically the last Dark Souls that we've gotten, and we kind of branched off to other From Software titles after this, right? Like Bloodborne and Elden Ring. So I was wondering if you guys were curious about like what's your experience with Dark Souls, hate it or love it, and two, it's like, do you think we'll get a Dark Souls 4, or will we just be continuing the Elden Ring train?
Can I go?
Yeah, no, absolutely.
Ace, what do I know about Dark Souls 3?
There was a particular incident.
Oh,
There was an incident?
The Scooby-Doo incident.
No, that was Bloodborne.
Jinkies.
Oh, that was Bloodborne?
That was Bloodborne.
Okay.
That was when the Scooby-Doo incident happened. No, I played so much Dark Souls 3 that we were able to check, like when I was doing my streams of it, my people were able to check that no one does a speed run of that game like I do. Like, it's like, well, what's your best time? I think it's like an hour and 38 minutes. I don't exploit shit. Nothing at all. It's like, wait, you gotta be cheating. No. Listen, look, okay. I'm just saying, I run Dark Souls 3 like it's the 1990s and the Crips and the Bloods are really fucking going at it, and I gotta get the fuck home. Right? Like, no, I just run my ass off. Like, I wherever I am, it's 5 minutes from where I'm standing to the boss, no matter what I'm doing. And it just kind of start off as let me see if I can do this a little bit faster. right? Just a little bit faster. I don't even speed run any of these games, but something just clicked over with Dark Souls 3, and I was like, no, I know this game ass to front. Like, I know where everything is. I know how to deal with every single boss here. No, and even now, every now and again, every couple of months, I'll go, I haven't played Dark Souls 3 in a hot minute. I know people love seeing that. Like, what do you want to see somebody play this really, really good? Right? And don't get me started on that DLC though. DLC though, no.
Next thing you know, fresh file to completion in less than 3 hours.
Yep. It jumped all the way. I still have those same saves too. Like just showing my actual progress all the way from, I think it started off at like 40, 50 hour playthrough to chopping it in half. And then just having to take more and more risk and stuff like that. So no, that was like a brand title for me, right? Because 2016, that was a goddamn good year. So many good things came out, all back to back. And they were all games that were beating your ass in the street. like you had Dark Souls 3 and Fury and Enter the Gungeon and Darkest Dungeon. That was the year we were getting fucked up. That's basically what it was. And I was just like, oh, I got to get good. I got to get really good at some of this stuff because these games ain't playing.
They call it the year of our Lord 2000 and bus ass.
Yeah, it was bad. We had, Apostle Paul throwing fucking elbows, and John the Baptist was drowning people, and it was crazy. It was a crazy time, and Dark Souls 3 capped it off. And then that fucking DLC came, and boy, did I start hating. I was like, I love Dark Souls 3, and now I'm like, get away from me, you piece of hot garbage, right? But at the same time, I love Sekiro. I love what they did with that. I hope that we get the hell away from Elden Ring. I get why they did it, right? Because there was too many fingers in the pie, right? Like, to go from Demon Souls, and Sony has a huge control of that, and then Bandai Namco and the whatever dealing they have with that, with just Dark Souls, the IP right there, and then to go back to Sony with Bloodborne, and it's these guys are kind of all over the place, and we can tell that they're more concerned about getting their game out, and I think that's good. But I think they really leaned on Elden Ring hard because they wanted to have more control. I hope we get off of that, because Elden Ring, it's here's the joke, and I'll shut up. Of all the Soulsborne games, all of them, the ones that I hate are the ones that I plat, so that I don't have to go back to them. So I can run the shit out of Dark Souls 3. Like I said, hour 38 minutes, just boom, just jump up right out of the grave, all the way straight through to Linking the Fire. I'm not going to plat that shit. They're like, find all these rings in New Game Plus. I'm like, whoa. What makes you think I want to go through 2-3 more rounds of this nonsense? But Bloodborne, hell no. I was like, oh, I gotta be done with this shit. I can't keep coming back to it. Nope. And Elden Ring, same thing. I was like, oh, cool. Oh, I have a goat. Oh, I'm riding a goat. He was like, spectral torment. No, that's a fucking goat. All right. And then it all went downhill from there. I sat there for 100 hours. Like, I fucking hate this shit. I hate it so much. I love Hoarfrost Stomp. That was the saving role for me with Elden Ring, and now I'm just like, I don't want to hear about it. I went through, platted the fuck out of that game. I was like, good, I'm never coming back. I haven't done that. But Dark Souls 3, she and I have a special connection. I might take her to the sock hop. You know what I'm saying? I don't know. Zip. That's that.
Well, there we go. Tell us how you really feel.
I tell you, I have feelings about all that shit. Thank God.
Well, I think Elden Ring came out just because I think open world's still a big thing for a lot of people. They feel there's a lot of value in a big open map and exploring it.
Yeah.
So I feel like they, with the popularity of the Souls games and then that idea, that's how they got Elden Ring. Also, Mashin, the guy that wrote Game of Thrones in there, right?
Yeah.
And so you got a good combination. Of course, that's going to sell copies. But I, for one, don't care too much about like open world. So I do love Bloodborne. Don't get me wrong. Like, I'm on the opposite side of you on that. And I do believe one of the best games ever made is Sekiro. just because like I've played that game like blind, and then I've from like start to finish, it felt like a video game as a video game. Like you literally can feel yourself get better for every attempt you make in that game, and you're slowly creeping up on mastering a game. Just think about it as a game, right? And that's how I felt when I was playing that game. The last boss took me 13 hours to beat, right? So,
Yeah.
but that's what I mean. Like it took me like getting beat up, try again, beat up, try again, right? Without cheating, without looking up, playthroughs or whatever. Yeah, no, and I'm like you, man. If like a game like that took so long for me to beat, I don't really want to jump back into that because of time, right?
Yeah.
But it like the experience and like like when you finish a good book, you're like, what do I do with my life? That's how I
Yeah.
felt after I finished Sekiro. So I totally understand.
That
about
fucking ape,
getting
that
the-
goddamn gorilla, man. Woo! What a surprise, right?
Yep. And I'm pretty sure I shot myself when I didn't know that was going to happen at all. So yeah, that was never again. I don't trust. Do not trust any of them. So, Ace, I see Samurai Champloo Sidetrack, which I also have played, by the way. What is your experience with that?
Now that was an interesting one because I picked it up. I saw that it was a beat 'em up, so I had to go hands on with it. But this is one of those really interesting cases where everything, like even if there was one part out of place, it wouldn't work. So the fact that the combat was actually, rhythm based, like literally you had to match your strikes, you had to match your buttons with the background music for that stage.
Saying this was Hi-Fi Rush before Hi-Fi Rush?
Mm-hmm.
Bruh.
And your combos for Jin and Mugen were literally like you would change up their move sets and it would change up the background music that you had to time everything to.
Shit. I gotta play this. I gotta play it. Samurai Champloo is one of my favorite anime of all time.
It's pretty good.
I just never got to play that. I was in 2006. I was a poor man. Now in 2025, I'm still a poor man, but I have the wherewithal to recognize that I'm poor. Like no, I love that shit.
And why was the baseball episode the best episode ever?
Asking the important questions here.
I can never forget that episode on Sam Champ. So cool.
And then there's of course like the special kill combos and animations that you can unlock. Like it. I mean, this is such a vibe,
which is crazy for a PS2 game.
It kind of reminds me of No More Heroes a little bit in its styling of play.
Yeah, it was very like honestly, if I was to compare it to more contemporary games, it would definitely be, it would be Hi-Fi Rush meets No More Heroes with like the stylization and presentation of like Sengoku era Persona.
Neat.
Ish.
just looking at this footage, I'm like, wow, video games have come so far.
It kind of reminds me of what's that? Yeah, you're right. No More Heroes with like Shinobi almost, like the whole like having a streak of like defeating your opponents and stuff like that.
Yeah, I love this anime series and shout out to Tornado Chop and chat, Nujibes, the entire soundtrack and OST around this. Like I loved connecting with the music with this series as well. So hearing it was rhythm based, kind of based off the beats and stuff, I'm like, oh, that's awesome. And then I look at this and look what they did to my boy Mugen. Like the jank here is strong with the animation.
It's pretty jank. It's jank.
He skipped every weight day.
It says jank is playing Rocky on the PS2. On the PS2. It's super cool. The presentation is like pretty funky, which is cool. It's definitely a unique game on itself.
Yeah, it kind of reminds me of during this like PlayStation era when a lot of very specific like anime series started taking off in the US and they started bringing games for them to the US, but it was done well. Like this and the standalone complex Ghost in the Shell game they released on the PS2 as well, also rough.
Yeah.
As a fan of that series as well, I was super sad to see not only Samurai Champloo's game not be awesome, but the Ghost in the Shell game also not be awesome. It was disappointing, to say the least. I wanted
Which
more
is
from the
unfortunate.
universes.
Which is unfortunate because the first Ghost in the Shell on the PlayStation 1 was awesome. That's from my opinion. But it was pretty much Panzer Dragoon.
Yeah. Little on rails, I think, because I still kept my import version of the Cowboy Bebop PSX game. It was kind of the same thing, if I remember right.
Good times. Good times. Good times. All right. Last game of the week, 4/12. Jade Empire on the Xbox came out in 2005. Why have we not seen this game ever again remade or even a sequel? I do not know. I specifically
yes, you do. Yes,
went
you
out
do.
of
We
my
talked
way.
about it. We
I
talked about it.
I
I gotta
refuse.
know. I gotta know. I don't know. Tell
I
me.
went specifically out of my way to find a limited edition cover as well because it was like in like a ruby red like glitter.
Oh, that case was awesome, and you had to have the limited edition because it came with the extra content.
Absolutely. All right. With that said, Nick, do you care to educate a man OC over here?
Yeah. Why haven't we seen it come back?
Oh, so we actually covered that on one of our previous chats when we started talking about Dragon Age and stuff. I had found out that Mark Dare, one of the original game directors, broke down kind of the history of BioWare and how their projects kind of worked in like a workflow. Like,
Oh yeah.
when they first started out, and then when they started splintering off and like, hey, we've got more projects, we're growing quickly. BioWare had this thing where they kept trying to have a growth mentality. So always something new, always working on other things. And at the same time as they were coming along with the Jade Empire follow-up for Jade Empire 2, they had to start shifting team members away from it onto like Mass Effect and Dragon Age projects because they were falling behind like crazy. So we saw this with like Anthem and stuff as well when that came out. But the long story short of it is they kept taking away resources from these other titles, which left them in a state of just like perpetual dev hell, and it never got off the ground. It just fell to the wayside. It just wasn't worth it for them to go back into it. It was running into any kind of dev hell beyond that, just like, they couldn't move forward with it. But it was worked on, and Mark Darrow had confirmed that too. And that was one of the first times we saw kind of like the behind the scenes of it, and the first like real chat from someone who was there to say like, yeah, we were working on it and then we pulled people away from it. I'll see if I can find the leak in our own VOD and our old VOD, and I'll send it to you, Oliver, because it is interesting to kind of see how, I won't say like politics, it's not that, it's more so just like the behind the scenes stuff for dev houses, what happens when they have a growth mentality, when things aren't really, set aside smartly or allocated correctly, all number of things.
So it was pruned like Loki.
Yep.
Yeah,
Definitely
they
pruned.
definitely bit off more they can chew. Like they had a really good calendar of like things that were coming out, and Jade Empire just fell through the cracks because like they were like focusing on other stuff,
Yeah.
From that
crazy.
So
Yeah, just thinking back to that, it was basically like a dev pipeline calendar, and just thinking back to that, it like looking at that and looking at how all the games lined up, a lot of things started to make a lot more sense.
give it to somebody else. Just somebody do something with this. I'm good. I'm ready for another Jade Empire. It doesn't have to be BioWare.
I know that there's been a lot of like
happen.
Chat about it too, about how it would go into the modern age. Like maybe it looks something like Sifu or something like that with like the different styles. There's a lot of like rhetorical stuff out there. I don't know after all this time if Jade Empire would sell like it used to, unless it's a complete rework of what it is. It wouldn't be a BioWare title anymore. I don't even know if it'd be an RPG. We'd probably see it more like reskinned and then put in like Wukong. It might be huge in a different market and a different style, but gone will be the days of it playing like we remember, which is like, KOTOR in ancient China. So it just, I don't think it'll be the same. So as much as I wanted a sequel, I'm definitely of the mind after seeing what's happened to like BioWare and their need to like hyper focus on one title instead of being spread across the board, that we'll never get one from BioWare proper. Like you said, get it to someone else.
Give it to the guys that made Sifu and add like the narrative of like choosing your responses. I think that'd be great. And a morality system. That's a lot of that's your replay right there.
Did I just catch you trying to make video games fun?
Oh man. Hey, hold on, pause. It's gonna be $200. You happy?
Yeah, there you go.
You gotta balance it out. Gotta be $200. All right, and some other games that were released that finish off this week. Armored Core 2, Another Age on the PS2 in Japan. Painkiller on the PC in 2004, if y'all remember Painkiller. One of my personal favorite games, Dead to Rights 2 on the PS2 and Xbox in 2005. Dungeon Hunter Alliance on the PS3 in 2011, which is like a Diablo clone. And World of Tanks on the PC in 2011, because, I always see commercials for that game. Every time I'm watching YouTube, they're trying to buy me. So, but yeah, Ace. Armored Core 2, Another Age. And what's the difference? This is a sequel to Armored Core 2?
Yeah, sequel and expansion to Armored Core 2. And this is, just to make it nice and quick, Armored Core 2, Another Age, that one is so particular for me because it is the only Armored Core game I can think of right off the bat that had, not just weapon arms. So you'd have like your cannon arms or your rocket launcher arms, but also had a set of back weapons that were melee based. So you could actually take a full melee build, go in with the pile bunker equipped in your long range hand. Then you'd have your laser saber in your melee hand, and then a pair of arms for your back weapons that were also dual wielding laser sabers.
So you can just full on melee mode on that. You can just go on Gilgamesh all over that.
Yep,
that's cool. I love that. Well, all right, guys. If there's nothing else, that is it for this week in gaming history. All right, as promised, we do have some a little bit of news, at least for this, and of course, the Tragic Elite will get us going. Let's go.
Woo! Same as every time, get to talk about the news. Always fun to learn a little bit more what's going on in the industry. Just so people know, we kind of talked about it a little bit earlier. Going light on news this week. We want to get to the tech with our friend Oliver and Ace. So I'm just going to give you a quick little rundown. We already got together on an off day. We got together on Sunday to talk about Nintendo, the Switch 2, and all the stuff going on with it. So with all that stuff kind of dominating the news waves, there's not as much. However, I will lead with some Nintendo news after giving you that little rundown. In case you missed it, Nintendo announced on their X channel that Hades 2 will be a timed exclusive for the Switch 2. Supergiant Games did a creator's voice video about the upcoming sequel, and the message at the end of the video dropped that news on people. So another exclusive, this time only timed. We also know that Nintendo is now delaying pre-orders in Canada. If you did not hear that, that's something that dropped today. We knew about it already happening in the US. However, this morning, they delayed Canadian pre-orders right before they were set to go live. It's still on the Nintendo Switch train of news. The Hollow Knight Silksong devs have confirmed that will also be released on the OG Switch, in addition to the PlayStation, Xbox, and PC. It will be available day one on Game Pass as well. So a little bit more news from that. Still no more news on a specific release date. However, still some fun news for people who are really dying for some more Silksong news. Kingdom Come Deliverance is back in the news as well. It's getting a hardcore mode next week. So if you didn't see that, that is happening. Not only that, the team at Warhorse Studios revealed a suite of new perks coming to the game in that same update. So we're 1 week away from getting a hardcore mode and some fun new stuff. Bungie has also recently announced a showcase event for Marathon. They just dropped a little teaser trailer for it in the last day. That's their upcoming extraction shooter, for those who don't know. People can tune in April 12th at 10 a.m. PST. We don't know what's going to be in this. No one knows, really. Who knows what it'll end up covering? But the game has been in development for a while now, so we could see probably a release window or maybe some beta events. It's already been in the news lately that the alpha's been playable and people are kind of messing around with it already. So we'll see what their big plan is for this. I remember my time working in the industry, there's a lot of stuff talking about Marathon coming, a lot of play testing for it. So it'll be interesting to see how that ends up rolling out. I know for a couple people here on the staff, Marvel Rivals is a game to play. They all love it. Well, the Marvel Rivals devs have shared a new video update in the last week since we've been on and announced a major change to their seasonal model. Seasons will now be shorter. They're only going to last 2 months instead of 3, and a new hero will be released every month. They're sticking to it, and that's been their announcement. So if you didn't hear that, pretty cool stuff. Trying to keep that excitement up while continuing to prototype new game modes, what the dev said. So some new stuff for you as they're working on other stuff coming down the line. So in a great example of it may not be for you, but it will still sell. If you haven't heard, the Minecraft movie has made over $301 million during its opening weekend. It's now the biggest ever opening weekend for a video game movie, and it surpassed the biggest opening day for the year, surpassing the Captain America Brave New World. So it did that all in its first weekend. Insane. One more sales milestone to cover this week. Enzoi, if you haven't heard about it, it's that live sim, kind of a spiritual successor to Sims that came out. They just released in early access recently. And they had to patch it out. I know a lot of people were kind of talking about it. You were able to run over kids in the game, and they had to patch that out. So, yeah, not good. But one good piece of news for them on the back of that is it's actually past 1 million units sold already while still in early access. So it's going strong. You can see it on a lot of streaming platforms, which is kind of an interesting thing to see after a little bit of controversy, but it's still going strong. And the game is still seeing like really solid concurrent player numbers right now on Steam. So it's getting Steam. We'll see what it'll do. This week, I do not have an article for you because we want to get to the tech. I did have a rumor mill thing, but it is an article, so I'll skip over it this week. But just to kind of wet the whistles of everyone, there's a lot of rumors flying around right now about a Titanfall 3 being released potentially in the next year. Insider Gaming was reporting on it, and they were chatting about kind of the background of what we heard the team over at Respawn. We know they've had at least 3 unannounced projects that have been canceled. So there's one that was kind of set in the Apex Legends universe. And a lot of people have been scrambling for Titanfall 3 for quite a while. So there's a lot of smoke going around it right now. Just kind of keep your eyes open. We may potentially get a follow-up to that series we've been waiting for a long time. Like I said, short and sweet this week. Just trying to get everyone caught back up on the week's news. Some fun stuff. But I'm going to hand it over to the guys for the tech.
Awesome. Thank you, Nick. Appreciate that. All right, guys. You guys missed it last time, but we're not going to avoid it this time because we're switching things up. So if you guys have not, if you don't know what this section or segment is of the podcast, this is called the tech. All right, and this round, what we're going to do, we're covering Monster Hunter Wilds with the tech, with Blazing Ace Nelson, along with our guest, the OC, Oliver Campbell. And
he said the thing.
I'm making a thing, chat. OC. To say. This is the segment of the show where we have these guys talk about tips and tricks, how to be the best, how to get good on specific games. Right now, Monster Hunter Wilds, it seems to be on everybody's radar. Sold 10 million copies in 2 weeks. So hopefully, if you haven't played it, you learn something, learn a thing or two today. Okay. All right, guys, take it away. What you guys got?
All right, so let's go ahead and bring the footage up.
Yeah.
I mean, guess we all enjoy seeing Nick's handsome face.
I am the tech.
Do you believe your own hype that much? I am the hype. But the last couple of sessions of the tech that we had, I covered, some of the other weapons that I played more, fluently. Those being the insect glaive and, of course, the sword and shield. Sword and Shield being more of a more current favorite as of Wilds and Rise because of its high speed yet very simple to grasp gameplay. With the Switch Axe, the name of the game is all in the name. The Switch Axe is a weapon where you can get the most out of your time using this weapon by making sure that you keep an eye on, switching between the two different modes. So when you first bust it out, you're in axe mode. You're going to be moving a little bit slower because you're carrying this rather weighty thing around with you. But your basic attacks with the on PS5 with triangle, your basic attacks are going to be your combos that you use to build up the gauge that is right up there near the upper left, where you see the health bar, your stamina, your sharpness, and then underneath that, the gauge that looks like the weapon itself. Oh, you want to do what you can to keep that yellow bar as close to full as you can with your normal attacks in axe mode. So that way, once you actually want to start piling on elemental damage, you can swap to the sword. Now, the longsword mode for the Switch Axe kind of plays like the longsword in God Eater. If you remember me posting up the tech for that. The longsword here is, it's not quite as fast as, say, the actual longsword here in Monster Hunter, but you're dishing out elemental damage, and as you can see, the sword gauge is actually decreasing. If you want to keep up your energy for the sword, then you got to swap back to the axe. So again, it's that delicate balance between your basic attacks, which are effectively priming your target, not just for additional damage, but also priming you for building back up to those sweet chops with the sword and the other unique little tidbits about it.
I can use this as an opportunity while you're going through some of the combos there to run down a little bit of the history of the weapon for the folks at home.
Please do.
This was Switch Axe is really important to me as a very old Monster Hunter player. I've been playing since the very first game came out, so I've been playing for over 20 years. And it wasn't until Monster Hunter 3 that the Switch Axe showed up in the first place. It is the first transforming weapon in the series history, right? And like I said, it made its debut in Monster Hunter 3 when they did a huge revamp on a lot of systems within the franchise. And for as many weapons that have changed and have picked up new attributes and lost others, Switch Axe pretty much plays the same way, going all the way back to 2009, 2010. It's you've got an axe, and you've got very, very quick foot movement comparatively to other large heavy weapons, right? And then when you're in sword mode, as you can see that Ace is doing, compared to, say, Greatsword, if we're just going on sheer size of the weapon, the sword mode's way faster here. And the real trick with Switch Axe is realizing that to be truly successful with the weapon, you need to utilize both modes of the weapon. You need to fully understand the axe itself, and you need to fully understand the sword mode. And you certainly can play either or, but if you really want to get the most out of the weapon, then you definitely need to utilize both styles, and that takes a very different mindset to know that even your basic movement is going to be dramatically different in each mode. Obviously, we have the kind of antithesis of the Switch Axe, the Charge Blade, but that's something for a separate title or for a separate show. So the sword mode that you're seeing Ace, or the sword mode attacks you're seeing Ace do there, they all by default will discharge the file that he's using up there at the top, the yellow file gauge. And so basically you can think of it as just Switch Axe uses cartridges, right? And Axe mode recharges that cartridge and Sword mode drains it out, right? And so as you do those more powerful attacks in Sword mode, you're kind of burning through that, and the Switch Axe comes with a separate set of files. So typical Switch Axe has power files, which just adds straight raw to your attacks. It's just nice, but it's a very difficult to charge up to get into some of your bigger attacks. Depending on which Monster Hunter game you're playing, you might have power files and elemental files, which will just do a huge burst of elemental damage, and you might even see sometimes paralysis files, or you might see poison files. And my personal favorite, which you can still find in Monster Hunter Wilds here, are exhaust files. And that basically lets your Switch Axe also do knockout damage every time you swing the sword, and even go into something like your your zero sum discharge. You want to show that, Ace?
Oh yeah.
So what is the zero sum?
Now the zero sum discharge is basically, as Oliver was mentioning, while your axe mode charges the cartridge, charges the battery, the sword mode drains the battery as you're using that energy to power your attacks. And the zero sum discharge is quite literally you just expelling all remaining energy into one massive attack. Like so. And doing so will immediately put you back into axe mode. So that'll tell you right there, recharge your battery. Your phone is down to 10%. Charge.
You better put that ringer on mute. You better turn that brightness down.
Yeah, I love the brightness.
You better say, "Don't call me." So that was the original big power move for Switch Axe in Monster Hunter 3, and over time we've added new moves. When Ace really got in deep into Monster Hunter with Monster Hunter World, it was at that point that they added in a new kind of zero sum discharge where we could actually attach ourselves to the monster and cling on to them while just jamming the entire blade in there and just letting it get right inside there, just in the deep meat. You know what I mean? Just like, ooh, yeah, just being able to just get right up in there and just latch on, and it would do a ton of damage. But now we've added yet another big power move to Switch Axe. What is it called, Ace?
That would be the Unbridled Slash.
And that's kind of a different way of also discharging all of your, or a huge chunk of your file energy, but without the same kind of commitment. There's also a little bit of a hyper armor during this move, so you can actually absorb a little bit of a hit or two and still execute this move in a really vicious way. And if you've forgotten, I think that's R2 triangle and circle while in sword mode.
Yeah. And one thing I've also actually noticed is that if you do the standing zero sum discharge, and you're not clinging on,
yep.
After the burst, you hit switch, and you go into an Unbridled Slash, which takes you right back to axe mode. So again, it's that ebb and flow switching between the axe and between the sword, basically weaving those two modes together with your movement to sort of, create your own flow.
Yeah, it's so Switch Axe can be highly mobile, can do devastating amounts of damage in a very, very, very short period of time. And it's kind of a self-contained weapon. Now, granted, you don't really have a whole lot on the defensive end, but again, with Wilds, they've added in an offset attack with the axe, and there's even I wouldn't call it an offset attack, but I don't know how to describe it. Like each mode, axe has a legit full-on offset where you just knock the monster on their ass and then chase them down with the slinger, and then just the name eludes me at the moment, but
it's
again
the offset rising slash.
Offset rising slash. Thank you. Where when you're in sword mode, even if you get hit, you're just going to just shake it off completely. It's very, very, very powerful. It's a great way to just tank right through something. I would say the closest equivalent of, again, for large sized weapons, it would be like the equivalent of great swords tackle, where as long as you got your timing right, and it's very forgiving, you're just going to not get hurt. It's the damage mitigation on it is extreme. It's like 95% of damage just stops happening with offset rising slash. It's freaking brutal.
So yeah, with which also lends to the more defensive nature of the axe mode at the very least. So
Mhm.
you know, when you're in axe mode, you're not dishing out the utmost damage that you can with that weapon, but you've got more defensive options ready to go. Whereas when you switch over to the sword mode, especially if you've got more fuel in the tank, then you
Mhm.
don't have to worry so much about plowing through attacks that are coming your way. You just do it.
Yep. And just keep doing the crazy nonsense that you're doing. That's really the secret. Do you have any recommendations, Ace, for skills that really help benefit Switch Axe?
For skills that really benefit Switch Axe, well, let me go ahead and pull up the equipment that I have right now. And one thing that will definitely help is going to be speed sharpening. Because as you're going to be laying down those attacks in relatively rapid succession, even for a large weapon, like even for a heavy melee weapon like the Switch Axe, since you're going to be laying down those attacks, you are definitely going to want to make sure that you can keep your damage and thus keep your sharpness up. So if you've got speed sharpening on, you can cut the number of cycles it takes to get you back to full. I would also highly recommend. What was it? Actually, out of everything that I've got listed here on my equipment, aside from speed sharpening, I would also actually recommend Part Breaker.
Oh yeah, Part Breaker is really just a good all around go to for almost everyone, isn't it?
Yeah, it really is. But with the Switch Axe especially, because the more parts you break, the more weak points you can open up, then that'll ramp up the damage you can do, not just with your regular attacks or with your offset attacks, but also with the zero sum discharges. You can ramp it up to extreme levels.
A couple of skills that have historically benefited Switch Axe, and from what I've seen in Wilds, the same also applies here. Switch Axe, and I'm not sure if you know this, but this will be fun for everyone. Switch Axe has one of the longest rolls in the entire series. Right, when you're just doing a standard rolling evade, it has one of the longest ones. Right, and evade extender gets ridiculous. Right, especially when in Monster Hunter Rise. Oh man, you could like roll 2 or 3 times and be across the room. Like it was just ridiculous in axe mode, and you would just be like, "What the hell is that?" And it's just a guy rolling with the world's longest axe, and you're like, "Oh, that's sweet." So, evade extender still hugely benefits uh, uh, Switch Axe just because of the nature of the evades that happen with the weapon. So just having the weapon out and doing the standard forward roll as you are exactly that, it's going to get way longer. But there's also the sidestep evades that happen after attacks for repositioning. All the evade extender is going to benefit those too. So like as you're in just a mid regular swing, and then you just hold left and push, left, or hold left or right in mid swing and evade, and you're going to do this nice little side hop that actually has pretty good iframes on it. And of course, that leads into the evade window that I already saw you had, stacked in there a little bit. Evade extender, evade window just works great. Switch Axe is all about foot game, where you're standing at any given time. And then, of course, before I get chucked on this one, power prolonger. We cannot stress how much power prolonger will benefit you to a huge degree. There might even be a few axes that naturally have it as a skill in Monster Hunter Wilds. But what power prolonger is going to do is as Ace swings with the in sword mode, he's going to start awakening the sword and being able to just let more file pops happen naturally. The zero sum discharge and being able to cling on, that's going to get turned on, and it's overall just way more powerful. But that's on a timer, and it's going to run out, and Power Prolonger is just going to help that mode stay going more, so you don't have to do all the work to turn it back on, right? So that's always good. I believe, I'm not 100% on this, but I think Focus will cause all of those meters to fill up way more easily, right? So that's going to keep you in your prime, because that's really what we're talking about with Switch Axe. You've got these huge bursts of crazy amounts of damage, but you got to do work to get there, right? And then once you get there, you kind of want to stay there. And anything that's going to help you stay in that zone to where you can just keep a monster in a hurt locker, you're gonna want to add that to your skill set.
Is that the Gormagala Switch X?
Yep.
Yeah. I like it. It turns into a safe.
Had to grab that one.
As you can see there, every time Ace is doing a sword swing, you would see a secondary pop after each swing. That's coming from the awakening there. And having Power Prolonger on is going to keep that up for that much longer. And it's just like Cinerus is even saying in chat. He's like, you know, for both file weapons, right? Both Charge Blade and Switch X, Focus and Power Prolonger are the butter to your bread. Like, you want to go with those and get those added in there, because it's just going to make it that much easier to accomplish that which you want to accomplish. But for my overall thoughts on Switch Axe, in Wilds, it's beastly. You can do a lot of fun new nonsense with it. And, you know, it's no longer the new kid on the block, which is so weird. Right, but no, it's storied. It's a historied weapon now. It's been around for 15 years. It's like, oh, yeah, okay. Like the last weapons that were added into Monster Hunter, the newest weapons are still Insect Glaive and Charge Blade. Like, oh, really? Yeah. And that's been for about a decade, so they're still kicking around with that idea, but you know, Switch Axe is definitely matured. And of course, the number one thing that makes Switch Axe so fun and exciting to play, especially for someone who's like, oh, I'm new, should I play this? That seems complicated. Well, no, you should definitely play it as a new person, because here's one thing that's true: almost, not quite everything, but most combo strings with Switch Axe are infinites. That is, you don't need to do any crazy button combinations. Most of these, the true moves that you're going to be using, they naturally link into each other, and you can just spam them infinitely and get great damage out of them. Mm-hmm. You know, it's only as you more mature into the weapon will you really start going, okay, you know what? I think I'm going to transform in the middle of this attack, so I'll be in axe mode and then immediately switch over to sword mode, get a quick burst of damage out, and then transform mid-swing back into the axe. And it looks sick. It looks dope as fuck when you see someone using it that actually really knows how to use it. Like, I've seen guys that are way above my skill level, and they just do mean shit with it. I'm like, I'm pretty good with that weapon, but no, it's just rude. It's just rude, and it's just like a tornado. It's just a tornado of axes and swords and chopped off tails and screaming wives, and you're just like, what the fuck is happening? Like, no, it's rude.
Literally, what I'm doing right now, 2 buttons.
It's 2 buttons right there. So it's a great weapon to just learn the feel of a swing off of, right? Because weapons can have funky timing sometimes. But when you're just coming in, it's like, oh, I don't know about blocking or this stuff, and you just hey, this, you don't have to choose between one weapon or another. You like axes, you like swords, you wish you had both, man, we got you covered right here. Just push that R2 button to transform. That's it. It's like, oh, this one's a little bit faster on its feet, but doesn't swing nearly as fast. This one is slow on its feet, but swings real fast. And that'll just help you to understand, oh, these weapons have weight and there's commitments and things to it. I don't think people would be too overwhelmed, but there are like 4 fucking meters on screen just for this weapon that you have to manage. So it's like, well.
So it's a little It's a little bit. It's a little bit of. It's a
Meter
little bit of
management.
logistics you got to handle with this.
A little bit of logistics, yeah. Because I mean, right there, just on screen, just for the switch axe by itself, not counting his sharpness, you've got you've got to deal with the just the natural file meter. You've got to deal with the awakened state. You've got to deal with the God, it's not power axe, but the axe head being juiced up, and it's like, oh wow, you got a lot going on there. It's like, yes, you do. That's 3 meters, and then you got to worry about your sharpness too, and just understanding that, oh hey, when you're below a certain point here, you can't be in sword mode, and you're gonna burn up a ton of file on a discharge, whether you hit or not, right? And learning to manage those things can be overwhelming to people. I mean, I did see that happen a lot in Monster Hunter 3, right? Because no one knew what they were doing with that weapon yet. Like they barely understood it, and so it was just kind of trying to figure that stuff out. But it's definitely a lot more smoothed out now, and it's easier to keep an eye on and manage the flow of those things. Plus, historically, switch axe is one of the best weapons you can use to cut off monster tails. Oh, it's devastating. It is devastating just because of the reach. I mean, the very move that Ace has there for the offset rising slash, um, with when in axe mode, it has some of the highest reach of any weapon in the game. So if a monster is really up there and has his ass cheeks way up in there, you can reach up there and saw that little butt cheek off and get you some. But no, I mean, that really covers most of it, I think.
Yeah, that right there is basically that's Switch Axe 101. Learn the flow, keep an eye on, making sure that you here's a good rule of thumb. Give it the rule of threes. 3 swings, switch. Once you've got 3 levels built, discharge. After that, go back to your 3 swings. Switch modes every 3.
Yeah. Once you get a little confidence, right, you can stay in one mode a little bit longer or a little bit less. But uh, like one of my bread and butter combos that got taught to me was I, was to basically I built my entire suit around just discharging, right? And so I'm doing big zero sums, and I'm doing the follow up finishers, and you're way out of file at that point. But as part of your recovery, you can immediately go right back into the double overhead axe swing, and that will recover like most of your meter ridiculously fast. And so I basically kind of just built it straight around I'm only using the focus and the power prolonger to get those double axe swings to give me a ton of file back, and then I'm immediately transforming back into axe and going straight into a discharge. So I equipped a lot of skills that would allow me to soak even more damage when I'm in those positions to have hyper armor, right? And it's like, are you going to swing the weapon like normally? No. No, it's kind of advanced, and it's a little bit of a trick to just look at and understand and know that you are here to purposefully get hit, right? So you're going to pull off some interesting things. You're going to use lure pods, and you want a monster to just be hyper focused on you, so that you're constantly catching them with counters, and when they're jumping around or up in the air and doing big tail swings and things like that, you're going to be using your counter rising slash on them, and the second they hit the ground, next thing you know, boom, they're getting discharged on. It's a tricky play style. I only just recently picked it up, but I really like it. It's super fun. So it's a little bit more advanced, but as long as you go from where Ace is talking with the 3 swings, and then you come into the next thing where it's learning how to lean into each part of the weapon, as the situation dictates. I think it's kind of a hard thing to describe, but that's just kind of like where you get there. You just you're going to spend a little bit more time in Axe, and then you're going to see a big window, or know that a big window is coming to be in Sword, and to stay in it, and to just to hammer on a monster's head and just burn all the way through your file, right, until you're forced back into Axe mode, and then build things back up. There's so many different ways because of those infinites that we talked about, where it's like, no, almost every combo in there is infinite. So Switch Axe has the ability to kind of a la carte your way through it, of make it your own.
And that that right there kind of well, I guess what you can say is that the Switch Axe is really one of those weapons where hunter self-expression is built into how you use the weapon right from the start.
Absolutely.
But I mean, while we could go further in depth, we're trying to keep this at 101 level. So let's just say that right there is going to do it for this edition of Tech.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, I'm more of a charge blade kind of guy. That's all I'm saying. I like blocking.
Oh
That's
yeah.
No, but I was telling Chad my main weapon for World was a Switch Axe, so it just felt good. It felt like I was wielding a giant pair of nunchucks, just with the way it flowed. So
Yeah.
a little bit of that. Well, all right, guys. Well, I appreciate that. That was a very in-depth, of the Switch Axe. And actually, I think I learned something a little bit tonight, because I don't know, did they add something new? Because I haven't played with the Switch Axe just yet. Did they do something new from World?
Well, there's that second version of the zero sum discharge.
Okay, they added one more attack from okay, cool. Even with the charge blade, I think there's like one more new move, but I haven't really messed with it yet too much. So I'm just having fun with the game. Sword and Shield for life.
I think the best way to put it is it's really about follow-ups, even between both of those weapons, Switch Axe and Charge Blade. Charge Blade caught the regular amped elemental discharge, the follow-up to that, which is basically just a free extra file pop, and it looks cool as shit, right? Having the way that Power Axe works in there, and then the same thing here with Switch Axe, where after your typical discharge, you can do the finisher that comes after, and it's like, oh, well, that was super nice, and being able to be hybrid armored in, as opposed to zero sum, where you're so vulnerable. You're just standing there and you're like, oh dear God, I hope nothing decides to hit me right now. Yeah, they just kind of added some nice little. It's like they tied off the end of the knot on a couple of those things. To I don't know. I guess I'd say they added some nice substance to the ends of these typical combo endings, right?
Okay. Yeah.
But I definitely like it.
Yeah, it definitely adds just a little bit more difference than the World. So I've noticed that. So yeah, looking forward to the next one. Which one are you guys planning to do next for the next one, or at least Ace?
That's
I want to know.
That is a very good question. You know what? I'll throw up a poll a little bit later. See what folks want to see me struggle with next.
Well, I guess you need to struggle with Charge Blade now.
Struggle is real.
Look, don't let my 2,000 hours of Charge Blade usage go to waste. Don't let it wither on the vine, dog.
You're like all might to Deku. You gotta move. You gotta carry on. Awesome, guys. Well, appreciate that as always. All right, so moving on to the end portion of the podcast, as the one we didn't do last week. I wanted to cover the rhetorical for tonight. We haven't had a rhetorical in the longest time, so tonight the rhetorical is about the break that Resident Evil needs. Chad, do you know what the heck I'm talking about? What could I be talking about that's keyword break and also Resident Evil? If you guys know, put it in chat right now as I cue up this nostalgic piece of music. You guys hear that?
Yes.
And Chad, if you know what song this is from, that should help out a little bit. So, no more Resi games. Well, I want to contest that. As part of the rhetorical is, if it's your first time here and you haven't seen our last one, the rhetorical is about where we talk about the what ifs of the gaming industry. You know, maybe what if, you know, Contra was made by Capcom and not Konami? What if Metal Gear was made by Square Enix? How would they make that different, right? And what if we never got a Final Fantasy remake? Stuff like that. How would you make or remake your favorite game in the industry, and how would you make that? So the rhetorical opens up to a bunch of things. Now, Jago says RE1 or RE0. Good call. Now, the choice of Resident Evil tonight is Resident Evil Outbreak. Right now, I conjured up this incredible piece of artwork via ChatGPT and how Resident Evil Outbreak remake would look like on the PS5, and I'd say it did a pretty good job. Right. So tonight I'll be chatting a little bit about Resident Evil remake on the rhetorical. So let's just get this going, and let's see if it's worth while. And I want to know what you guys think after I'm done. All right. So this is my reason for why it's time for a Resident Evil Outbreak remake, and how Lethal Company shows us how it should be done. Now, if you've ever played a game that was way ahead of its time, maybe that's Resident Evil Outbreak on Capcom's PS2 era attempt at online cooperative survival horror. I mean, it had tension, teamwork, and terrifying scenarios, all while tossing 4 strangers into a zombie-infested nightmare of Raccoon City. Now, the problem, in the early 2000s, we weren't really ready for it. No voice chat, clunky matchmaking, regional servers made it more frustrating than frightening. We just didn't have the technology. But in 2025, we have the tech here at the show too. And more importantly, we have Lethal Company. Now hear me out. Lethal Company is this indie hit that drops you and your friends into a derelict space station where communication, coordination, and improvisation are the only things keeping you from getting clapped by alien horror. Now it's pretty janky, it's a little bit chaotic, and it's hilarious, but what makes it work is the organic tension that comes from actual players interacting in real time. Screams through mics, panic plans, doors being shut at the worst possible time. Does that sound familiar? That's the Outbreak DNA right there, right? A modern Outbreak remake could absolutely lean into that vibe. Imagine RE engine-powered horror with voice chat built in, where every cough or call out could attract a zombie horde. Each character could still have unique skills. Kevin the cop, George the doctor, Yoko the student, but now with tighter co-op systems. Proximity voice, dynamic objectives, and environmental puzzles that Lethal Company fans already love. Capcom could even adopt the episodic mission-based format again, but this time with procedural maps, random events, and AI director-style pacing that keeps players guessing. Now, do you have that video, Nick?
Which video?
Or Outbreak? No? Okay.
Oh, I can pull it up for you while you're talking. Sorry, I didn't know.
Okay. And the kicker, unlike Lethal Company, Resident Evil Outbreak has deep lore. This wouldn't just be chaos for fun, it'd be chaos with purpose. Survival stories tied directly into great RE narrative. You could experience the fall of Raccoon City from the inside, street by street, hospital by hospital, bar by bar, just like the original. You got it? Not yet. Let me know when you have it.
I should have it. I think I have the right one.
So Capcom take notes. Okay, this is file 2, by the way. Let's see what we got here. Screen. Okay, awesome. Appreciate that. So Capcom, take some notes. Blend Outbreak's atmosphere, Lethal Company's emergent co-op energy, and modern online features. And you're not just making a good game, you're making a generation-defining co-op horror experience, right? Bring back the horror experience of not being alone, but being it together with your friends. Bring it back, make it scarier, make it smarter, and make it break out. And that's the new Resident Evil Outbreak remake that needs to be done. That is my take on the rhetorical for tonight, guys. So, what do you guys think? I think right now, what's important here is that we do have the technology to make a game like Resident Evil Outbreak a success, unlike what it was back then, right? I just imagine myself every time I watch people play Lethal Company and say, man, these guys could be in Raccoon City with their specific class, right? And be able to kind of like help each other out depending on their role, right? So I think this is the break that we need from typical Resident Evil, right? This is the multiplayer game that they need to be coming back to all the time. Unfortunately, they're probably going to season this or create some sort of way to monetize it over a long period of time, just like Exo Primal, right? But that's expected. It's just kind of the nature of things. And it's also how to keep it fresh. So I don't know, chat, what do you guys think about Outbreak remake? What would you add? What would you not add? Is it a crazy idea? Is it an awesome idea? I'd like to hear back from the panel.
If there's one thing I would definitely like to see added to something like this, it would be the enemy AI from, oh God, what was it? Alien Isolation.
Mm-hmm. Yep. Yeah, and each AI has to be different. Like if a Nemesis is chasing you, a Mr. X is chasing you, right? Those should operate differently depending on the nature of the beast, right?
Right.
So I think that would be super cool. And it being able to hear you and you guys talk, like you want to tell your friends to shut up. Hey, stop talking. That adds another like measurement of tension to like you guys being co-op together, right?
As for my part, I think it's a good question to ask because it kind of builds on what we remember Outbreak being. Back in the day when it released, the heaviest criticisms were the lack of voice communication and the kind of like, I remember it was delayed in Europe super, super heavily because it was having issues with the internet and support for that. So having all that with today's framework and everything we've done with it, it would already be better in every way just from that alone. I'm thinking just kind of building off your ideas there. The stuff that has done well lately has been the ability to communicate with your friends and in a party. I remember going through levels in like Killing Floor, that's a little more like Left 4 Dead kind of feeling, a little more action based, but those ones had levels with things that you would unlock, things you'd have to work together on to get further along, a la Call of Duty, zombie mode, but with like more story driven kind of thing. So there's certainly an appetite for it. The Outbreak series is still kind of fondly remembered by people because of the atmosphere. So fix the thing that was not good about it, update it visually with maybe some, like present day, like quality of life stuff. And I think that's a really easy rhetorical to like just smash the like button and yes button on, right? So I don't think it's a bad idea at all. I think that kind of what some of the chatters are saying as well, if it keeps the same like isometric slower speed, I don't think it'll do as well today. Everything tends to be a little bit faster paced, and that has a issue where it might start feeling a little too samey like everything else out there. The big thing about the Resident Evil remakes and why they're doing so well is it builds off the original idea and does more in like modern. But with something like this, with Outbreak, if you do too much of that, it's not going to be recognizable. It'll just be another Resident Evil game or another zombies kind of game as well. I mean, you saw what happened with like Back for Blood. They're trying to update it, changed it completely, tried to throw some new stuff on top, cards, right?
Yeah.
And it kind of, flatlined pretty early. So certainly a chance, absolutely. Not saying that, but I'd be interested to see like what kind of stuff they'd have to do and what they'd have to balance.
Yeah, my thing is like I think the concept of proximity chat, right? So this way, like if you're not around your person, you can't hear them, and being loud is detrimental to your teamwork, right? That's a great scenario right there. Because like when you write a good horror movie, you have to figure out how do you make your audience scare without stupid jump scares, right?
Mm-hmm.
And in this case, it's like how do you play with, and how do you feel by being scared as you're playing? So proximity chat is one, AI that can listen and kind of like maybe track you and whatever you're doing, just a little bit smarter than your typical one outside like the zombies that are just walking around. I think procedural generated items is more important than maps. And honestly, I think the game needs to be first person, just like Lethal Company. And a first person, of course, is kind of like, I don't know. It's not in the spirit of Resident Evil, but lately we've been experiencing good feedback from RE9 and stuff like that, or RE8 and 7, right? And so I think that would work out pretty well. And procedurally generated items, often I've seen people do a randomizer for these games, and they're having a blast because they just don't know where anything is. And so to be put into a map that can't really change, because I feel like that's going to be a little bit more of a challenge to change up maps, but having the items in different locations is a challenge, and maybe like having certain doors be locked or unlocked during this run, right? Stuff like that could be a challenge. And also maybe having specific characters could change your experience, because maybe you have a lockpick guy that can do it, but this round you didn't have a lockpick guy and all your doors are locked, so you definitely have to go get a key of some sort, right? So that really adds a lot of variety and spice to the game. If you're looking to like, man, I played it once and I'm done, like it adds a different experience every time. So I think
for
that's
me,
yeah.
when you said that, like the first thing I think of is a lot of that stuff already kind of happens in other games as well.
Mhm.
And I'm almost thinking like with something like this, updating it, I would love to see basically Left 4 Dead 3, but have it set in Raccoon City. Like bring in more of the atmosphere, or more of the characters, more of the recognizable stuff from that universe, but with the random, fun, over the top kind of play you'd get in like Left 4 Dead instead. I'm thinking something just a little bit faster paced, but just how much fun you had with your friends is very similar to what Outbreak was. Like you said, still keep like directional audio, localized sounds as well, like just to kind of keep that creep factor in. But it'd be so much fun to like bring two things together, two fandoms that are desperate, for something kind of similar to what they both do. I would love that. I would love Valve to recognize the number 3, and Outbreak File 3 being the bridge between that would be pretty fun for me.
Yeah, and I think like I wouldn't be opposed, or it would happen if they had crossover stuff happening. RE people in Left 4 Dead, if they had their own game, right? And
RE season and have a crossover between the two.
Exactly. And that's literally adding more content to your game, and they need to collaborate more. And we've seen that happen. But as far as pure as its own standalone thing, Outbreak doesn't need to be full price, right? It just needs an experience to be had by a variety of different people, giving people log in at many different times of the day, or whenever. Honestly, one of the things I thought about is, all right, you're logged into the map. Ace and I are playing, right? I'm co-oping it with him. Now it's 4 players, right? We don't know where the other 2 are. Isn't that a good way to start the game? They're somewhere. And then maybe like we find this radio, we hear them, hey, are you guys around? And we're like, yeah, this is me. I'm with another guy, right? Like that is a great way to like figure out. Yeah. And then our radios have batteries, right? Like we can't just do it. We can't keep them on all the time, right? Flashlights have batteries too, right? And like this atmosphere is pretty bright. I'm imagining it on the RE engine. Super dark, gritty, like lights, chandeliers swinging, right? Like super moody, right? So stuff like that. It's like a slower paced RE, right? Focusing on the survival, of course, the horror as well. it might be a different experience, maybe because like that's not your thing. So you pick the guy that has the gun, right? It may be more action for you because you have the bullets and the gun, right? But when you shoot, you attract more zombies. So it's like, oh, do I make this decision to shoot because it's easier to kill, or do I figure, all right, melee, but it's harder? You know, it's like that situation to be put in. That is the new evil, the new like horror for gameplay, right? And who knows? Maybe somewhere down the road they can be like, well, those two guys are actually bad guys, right? And we need to survive from them. They could really change up those like modes. So there's a lot on the table here, and I feel like Capcom is just like focusing on like continuing the series. Yeah.
So basically, putting Operation Raccoon City into Outbreak.
Yeah, but not so actiony. Right, like we're still civilians, and what would be cool, Ace, and this is what I would respect, is right now they're in the lab, right? Maybe somewhere along the lines, your team sees Leon running around and go, "Hey, man, I need your help," and then you help Leon out, and he gives you like an assist before the end or something, like characters from the game that are like in there, you know, and then you just stumble upon them.
Yeah.
Right, and that can be different every time. Maybe like Wesker's there, and you're like, "What the fuck is Wesker here?" You know, like stuff like that. It changes up your experience every time, you know. Or sometimes maybe a tyrant shows up. What the fuck? Why is a tyrant here? You got a shitty run, right? Stuff like that. But the idea of logging in and not knowing the other players are on the, whether they're with you or against you, I think is super cool. It adds a moment of tension. But like I said, this is why we have the rhetorical. I'm looking forward to it, Capcom. If you're watching, hopefully you give Outbreak File 3 a break. And I wouldn't mind just seeing another Outbreak that's multiplayer, and maybe that's how you can solve your dilemma with having Resident Evil be multiplayer, right? Because I know they're all about it. It's just executed wrong. Anyway, that's it. That's it for me. My rhetorical was a good one. What do you guys I don't know where Oliver went. But I kind of wanted to end it up with some last few minutes of just talking about what you guys are playing, and if you guys recommend a few things for the chat and everybody else.
Well, I've been aside from Final Fantasy VII, I've been getting a little bit more back into playing other JRPGs. So since Digimon Story Cyber Sleuth, Hacker's Memory is one of the free games on PlayStation Plus, I started picking that one up. It's been a lot of fun digging back into that. Let's see, there's that. There's, of course, Warriors Abyss, because, I've, got to have a good, pick up and put down kind of game to run through really quickly. Also been playing, Xenoblade Chronicles Cross. That's...
You got a lot on your plate, homie.
Yeah, I do. It's been keeping me busy, but it's still a lot of fun, and it's helping me kill time up until the 24th, once City of the Wolves and Expedition 33 come out.
Nice. Did you partake in the recent beta?
No, I didn't.
Okay. You try to go into it blind?
Yep.
Okay, right on. Yeah, I did play the beta twice, right? I played the first round and the second round. The second round was less of a more fun experience than the first, just because the players that were in the second beta, they were just really good. Like, and I'm like, dude, this has been not even been out of a month, like, and it's just training, like, and I was like, man, these guys are already sweaty. Like, relax. Like, I'm just trying to learn the game, So that was like, I was kind of concerned about that, of like some new guy jumping in to play online and just getting smoked by like these guys that just didn't put the game down. So that puts a really bad taste in new players' mouths, right? So
Yeah.
I'm most concerned about that. But the game's looking good, sounding good. I'm excited for the first season and more characters. I am not excited for those two guest characters though. But I know why they're doing that, because their audience is those guys.
The two guest characters I'm excited for are Ken and Chun-Li.
Yeah, exactly. And I feel like they had those guys involved so they can help pay for the game, right? Like, hey, you want to be in a game? Kind of like that. Like, instead of like,
they're fundraiser characters.
Yeah, exactly. That's kind of how I felt, because they were so out of it, right? But as far as what I'm playing, I'm still playing Monster Hunter Wilds. Just waiting for the drop, right? I did fight the Mitsuzune. Marvel Rivals, of course. I'm playing Tekken 8 Season 2, and I'm having a terrible time. This patch is rough. Like, they focused a lot on offense more. They doubled down on it, matter of fact. And some characters, you're just block stun like the whole time and while you're in heat. It's crazy. I don't know. The FGC is all up in arms about it. I think they're appropriately right. There's a lot of pros that are even saying like this is insane. Why did you guys do this? Right. But the game of note that I've been playing, that I started playing last week from the ADZ Gaming Challenge, started the letter K, and that game was King Arthur: A Knight's Tale. And to my lack of knowledge, I already bought it on PCs, but I rebought it on the PS4. Well, it's okay. I'm supporting the devs. Right? It's like Baldur's Gate Fire Emblem game that does Gothic Arthurian legend. So the story takes place after Mordred and King Arthur kill each other in the battlefield. And then you wake up as Mordred while the Lady of Lake telling you have to fight and kill Arthur. He's tearing up Avalon. Yeah. And so
Wow.
it's kind of wild. And honestly, as I'm playing this, I'm getting flashbacks from King Arthur and the Knights of the Round Table, the cartoon.
Oh no!
I was like, I'm having a good time. Like this is cool. The game's very dark and dreary, but it just brought me flashbacks to the cartoon. It's like King Arthur and like Power Rangers combined.
I am okay with this.
Yeah. What about you, Nick? What are you playing? 2 Point Museum?
Yeah, 2 Point Museum still. I've been a little bit of like a nostalgia trip lately because I can't afford to pick up a bunch of new games. So I've been kind of looking over the library of free games and kind of going down a rabbit hole of just games I've been kind of missing and haven't played any updates to in a while. So I reinstalled Wolfenstein Old Blood because it was available on Prime.
Nice.
And been playing that again. And I also downloaded and started replaying Deus Ex Invisible War. That was another one that went free recently, like the OG one on GOG. So I had to give that one a shot. And just the other night, I kind of messed around on Chivalry 2, just to kind of run around a medieval battle, like chop some stuff, because it's so much fun just to like screw around in that game, pick up a sheep, like throw it at people, and just get cleaved in half. So just some random stuff, kind of filling my time when I have it. I just, like I said, a little bit of nostalgia trip here and there, but I'm still kind of grinding through 2 Point.
Yeah. Actually, I managed to install this the other day, and I'm having a blast with it. I just decided to play not this one. I want this one right here. This gem right here.
CTR, baby.
And boy, howdy, this game. The AI in this game are a bunch of assholes. They are no mercy. They all have blue shells. It's crazy. Like you're fighting for your life in first place. Like it is insane. They and I'm on like casual mode. I don't know what it is like on hard mode. I'm probably in 7th place the whole time. So, no, but it is a fun trip. The visuals are quite impressive for what it is, and I decided to put that in because Mario Kart World got announced, and I was like, okay, I haven't played Crash CT, so I'm pretty excited to try it out, and I had a good time. A couple hours, and I was like, all right, I'm done. Like trying to play a new game. So it's unfortunate that like I feel like our attention span has been reduced because we have very little time. So you want to focus on other games that you like want to put more time into. So that's just like an adult acknowledgement as being a gamer. So, but yeah. Other than that, I don't know what Oliver went, but any final words for the night?
I hope Oliver's okay. My word for the night is if he's watching anime, he's probably watching Toilet Bound Hanako-kun. Who knows? He's just stuck to that toilet right now.
There's an anime for everything. There's literally an anime for everything. I saw an anime for
whatever your flavor is, we got it.
But what about you, Ace?
Just really glad I was able to get in there and kind of showcase a little bit more of what's going on with Monster Hunter Wilds, and at the very least, help those of us that have been playing maybe learn a couple new tricks. But it's always good to just be able to get in and educate people and help folks dig deeper into games that they probably may not have thought to try digging into.
Yeah, for sure. And I feel like if anybody in chat is like intimidated by any kind of game that has a skill gap for them, like could be a fighting game, right? And there's a lot of those. Reach out to any of us and be like, "Hey, man, I know you play this. Can you like give me some tips and pointers?" And I know Andre has reached out to me on how to learn Jin and Tekken 8, right? So I don't mind. I don't mind jumping on stream, showing you a few things, kind of showing you how it works, and stuff like that, and vice versa. Like if I'm having a hard time with CTR, I'm like, "Hey, what's some hacks in CTR? Like, let me know. Help me out here." I'm getting wrecked by the guy. So, just your guys are more than welcome to communicate and reach out to us. So, other than that, appreciate your time for tonight because we did go a little bit over. But man, did I have a lot of fun? I don't know. Hopefully you guys did too.
Oh yeah,
Hell yeah.
definitely.
Right.
Let's just say I'm gonna be sleeping nice tonight.
Oh yeah. I'm gonna be dreaming about RE Outbreak or nightmaring about RE Outbreak. So. Yeah, but with that said, guys, good show. Remember, it's 8 p.m. Pacific Standard Time every Tuesday. So next week, it's going to be, which date is it? The 15th of April. That's still, Clear Obscure is not out yet, right? On that time?
Not yet. That's going to be on the 24th.
Okay. And of course, you can find us. You can find me at GQ Asian Gaming on X or Twixt, YouTube at GQAzndood, and also on Twitch. If you're here now at GQAzndood as well. And if you guys want to share yours, feel free.
Yep, Blazing Ace Nelson on all the important spots. Just remember the G is silent on Twitter.
Blazing. All right.
It's silent. Is it silent or not there?
It's not existing.
Yes.
It's so silent. It's ghosted you.
And Nick has his on the screen as always, so you always know where to find him.
Yeah,
And
you
Nick,
always know where to
I
find
think the chat wanted to find out which episode had that clip of Jake.
I thought Jagos pulled it up.
Did he? Oh, they already have it. Awesome. You guys are
Yeah,
good.
I think it's
That's
in chat.
fantastic.
Scroll up. I think
Fantastic.
Jagos had the VOD for it.
All right.
Yep.
Well, go ahead, Dave.
Oh no, I was about to say, Jagos already hooked us up with the link for that, and
super interesting stuff.
And also, since I'm not entirely sure if he's going to make it back before the end, but for those of you that aren't following him already, please make sure to follow Oliver on Twitch at OBCTV, or you can follow him on Twitter at Oliver B. Campbell. Definitely give this man a look. He's got some of the most insightful discussion that I have seen on
Does
social
he
media
have
as a
a
whole.
Amazon partner link for toilet paper
And Dark Souls 3.
Just checking up on our boy.
All right, guys. Appreciate it as always. Y'all have a good night, and we'll see you next time. Class session is out.
Can you check the keybox? Is it blinking or overflowing? You already do.